Welcome everyone to the PJ's Cast. I'm your host Pierce, alongside of my good pal Dylan. We're back from the cottage to recap the off-season, free agency, and the draft. And you know what I learned this off-season, or more so reiterated what I thought. Front office executives are a bunch of fucking liars. We were promised fireworks, we were promised big trades and big signings, and once again, we're just let down. I really thought this year would be different with the cap going up, but no, it still hasn't changed, and I'll believe it when I see it. If we got insiders being fed this information of we're finally gonna get off season where we see big trades and big signings, but there really wasn't that. And to me, it felt like the Blackhawks are a microcosm of that. These last couple of years, Kyle Davidson has said it as exit interviews. Oh, the Blackhawks, we want to get better. And we want to trade these draft picks for ready players. And that just, it never panned out. They're all a bunch of fucking liars. But, anyways, how are you doing, Dylan? How are you doing now that the dust has settled? Well, it's basically been settled for a week, but how are we doing now that we're really in off season mode?
Well, now that I'm back from my cottage, I can talk some hockey. Um, I will give upper management credit or some slack on one thing. Pretty sure every big free agent outside of Ehlers re-signed, so there's really not much you can do
Yes,
there.
yes,
And we
I
already knew
know.
Gavrikov was bound for New York. He made that very clear for about 3 weeks, so I would say that was wrapped up too. But you're right. I mean, this is the problem with the cap going up so high. This is going to become a league like Gary Bettman always says that it's a league of parity, and to an extent, he's right. I mean, every from all we've heard, every team outside of Pittsburgh is looking to get better right now. I don't know if you could say that for like the Hawks and the Sharks, but that's okay. Um, but every team is looking to at least improve in their own way. You know, like Chicago and San Jose, their form of improving is the young guys get better. Maybe they win a couple more games. Maybe they play a little more structured. 28 other teams, they're all trying to win the Stanley Cup right now. And, there's a lot of teams just waiting for that first domino to fall. And if I'm being honest, that first domino might not fall till the regular season. We might have to wait till like Halloween, Thanksgiving, because a lot of these, like, think about it. There are at least three teams right now that are going to pull a 21-22 Hawks on ice. Let me make that very clear,
Just
on
pull the
ice.
shoot and tank for McKenna.
Well, no, you think you're going to be good and you're terrible. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. No,
there's so many
that's what I
teams
mean
go
too.
so many teams go in thinking they're going to be, oh, we're going to take these huge steps. Like, how many times did we go into a Hawks season the last 10 years? Like, I think in 1920 is like a perfect example. Yeah, they made the playoffs, but we looked at that season like, okay, there should be some legitimate steps made here. And they won two games in the entire month of October, and the whole season was shot in the foot after that. It's just the reality of how this league works. So there's going to be teams that, make those mistakes and are going to start selling off players, but there's not much we can do right now, and unless you're overpaying and if you have valuable assets, which if I'm being honest, the Hawks one aren't overpaying, and two, they don't really have a lot of assets right now. Like, yeah, they got Mikheyev, they got Dickinson, guys that don't get traded at the deadline, obviously, but in terms of like, you're not like, I look at the Isaac Howard trade, and there's Hawks
I
fans that
was
are
just gonna bring
like,
that up.
I don't mean to jump into Ike Howe already, as he likes to go by or whatever.
I like Ike. It's gonna sell
Ike,
like crazy in
Jesus.
Edmonton.
Jesus. But
So
Hawks fans,
downtown, where Rogers Place is called, it's called the Ice District. They're gonna rename it to the Ike District.
the Ike district is crazy. But Hawks fans are bad they didn't make that move, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, they gave up a prospect of equivalency in Sam O'Reilly. That means, okay, in theory, it's someone that's got picked in that range. So for the Hawks, that's like a Roman cancer off, basically. That's the way I look at it. Are you comfortable making that move? Sure, maybe, but at the same time, it's not something that would have benefited this team right now. And especially when you got a guy like Nick Lardis, who will probably be in Rockford waiting for the call up, and I'd much rather see what he looks like at the NHL level. And I have to think with the way they play their styles of hockey, Isaac Howard and Nick Lardis, scoring winger, they're gonna clock. It's gonna clock space at the end of the day. And if Kyle Davidson's really hell bent on seeing how the kids work out, yeah, we got to see what we got first before we start trading them off. I think that's one of the dumbest things you can do. If you've committed this much to the rebuild, you got to see these guys play NHL games before you start making moves. If not, you just look like a fucking clown. Just gonna be honest.
That's what I've taken from these last couple of weeks. Like going into this off season, I was like, well, as a fan, I want this team to get better. So do you. So does every other Hawks fan. I was like, oh, they should explore every avenue they can, whether that's trading their draft picks for current players now, or maybe going to free agency and looking to sign a veteran presence like a Brad Marchand or John Tavares. I mean, one thing, they didn't even hit the market, so that never would have been an option to them, even if they wanted to. And two, teams just want to make hockey trades, and you bring up the Isaac Howard and Sam O'Reilly trade, which we'll get into deeper later because I do want to talk about the Blackhawks draft class first, but they don't have a surplus of Alex Vlasics. Like I just keep going back to the JJ Paterka trade. Utah did have a surplus of guys like Michael Kesselring and Josh Jones. The Blackhawks simply just aren't at that stage yet, and we've kind of questioned, well, oh, the Blackhawks, they could have got Matt Knies, they could have gotten Ivan Davidoff if they trade up for pick number 4. We even saw they were trying to move up to number 1 and get Macklin Celebrini, and they tried to get like all these things, all these misses, and we can talk about, oh, can he, pull off these trades? Does he have the negotiating like wherewithal to make these trades? And I think right now it's just as simple as they don't have the fucking assets to get it done, and we might be still another year or two away. And it's disappointing. I would love the Blackhawks to make a trade for someone like JJ Paterka, but that's just not the reality right now. They have prospects, but none of them are really NHL ready. And again, you don't have enough guys like Alex Vlasic who are kind of in their mid 20s where you could trade for a player like that. And you're not trading, obviously, a Connor Bedard, you're not trading a Frank Nazar, and you're not trading a Artem Levshunov or Sam Renzel at this point. I mean, what good does trading, maybe a Nick Lardis or Roman Kanserov do? So all I got from this is that Kyle Davidson is doubling down with going through the draft. You might as well at this point 11, what is it, 11 first round picks in the 4 years. The only year he hasn't made 3 first round selections was in 2023 when they got Connor Bedard. So this team is going to be going through the draft, and it's going to suck because it's going to take a long time. Like we might not see a playoff team for another couple of years, but I also think there can be a bit of having your cake, like having your cake and eating it too. Like this team could make like marginal improvements. They could win 5 more games. They could get 30 wins, and they could still get maybe a Gavin McKenna. And looking at the draft, the top 5 looks pretty stacked. It almost kind of feels like going into 2022 again. I can't just help but think what we were talking about earlier. Like, the team gets off to a bad start. Say a team like Nashville did last year. If that happens again to another team, they're like, "Oops, pull the chute. We're gonna sell just for this year and see everything we can to get Gavin McKenna." But yeah, that's my main takeaway this off season, and that they're just going through the draft and they're gonna go young on the team next year. And honestly, I've just made peace with that at this point because there is a reality where Anton Frendel could be on the team the whole season. I don't think that's like 100% thing, but I don't think it's a zero possibility either. Nick Lardis could be called up halfway through the season. It sounds like there's a very likely chance that Sasha Bover is going to sign out of college. Like there is help on the way. Like there is hope, and Roman Kanserov can come over from Russia. But again, there's just such a long way to go, and you look no further than the playoffs. Like there's levels to this shit. Like Florida trounced Edmonton, Edmonton trounced through the West. Like there's still such a long way to go.
Yeah, no one's expecting him to win the Stanley Cup this year or next year.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
no
but
delusion.
it's we talked about this earlier. Like, yeah, they had 11 first round picks. You want to hope that like a third of them are really good. And then you have a couple serviceable players, and really good can vary. Like obviously, Bedard's going to be elite. Nazar and Renzel look like they could be very solid NHL players. Artem Levshunov, from everything we've seen and everything we hear from people, he's going to be just fine. And like when he's on, it shows. Like yes, he's going to have his woes. He was always going to be that way. But the development he's made the last 3 years, going from under 18 all the way to the NHL in a 3 year span, not even, I think it's like a 2.5 year span.
Yeah,
It's insane. He's jumped 5 leagues in 3 years. And
a lot for a young hockey player and for someone who's like still growing up and figuring things out.
yeah, and maybe he's not power play quarterback number 1. That's fine. Sam Renzel is very well proven. He's very good with the puck, offensively. If Artem Levshunov's your guy, like we talked about this when we drafted him, man. If he's your Charlie McAvoy, that's such a win. And he plays that physical brand of hockey. He's gonna be probably the strongest defenseman on that back end outside of Vlasic at this point. Maybe Del Mastro too. He's really strong, but you need guys like that on your defense. And that core of four, if two more can hit, maybe three more can hit. Obviously, I think Frondell's going to hit. I think he's bare
You hope
minimum.
so at third overall. Yeah.
He's got a higher floor than I think people think. Like at bare minimum, you have a
Absolutely.
three.
Yeah.
At bare minimum, you have a third line center. In my reality, I think you have a top six wing bare minimum, but he's got top line potential. Like that shot, the way he creates space, his board work. Yeah, he's not the best in transition. Oh no, but Connor Bedard's one of the best in transition. It's a pretty good counter, honestly, and Frank Nazar's pretty good at it as well. Um, you got guys like Oliver Moore. You got guys like Nick Lardis, Canceroff, Boisvert. The guys that just drafted this year, Nestrasol and Mason West. If like three of those guys hit, you're cooking. You're cooking with gas. I didn't even mention Vernacker. I didn't even mention guys like Jack Fridham, who apparently is trying to get a contract out of camp this year, which is kind of crazy. But they're got a plethora of depth, and it's time to see if some of these guys can make it shake. And I have to imagine Rockford's going to be very fun to watch this year for the people that can watch it. They're going to be ridiculously deep. I also didn't even mention guys like Colton Dock, who are definitely getting looks this year. We're talking about guys like Landon Slaggert. I wouldn't be shocked if Gavin Hayes gets a couple games this year, maybe a Sam Savoie. They're going to have options. And if a couple of them hit, yeah, you're going to be pretty fucking mad if they can't get in the top six because you overpaid someone. I have to kind of understand where Davidson's coming from. Yeah, you don't want to get spooked because you signed TJ Brody last offseason, but I mean, like, let's be honest. Let's go to hypothetical land. It's my favorite land in the world.
Hypothetically, for the sake of the argument.
Let's say they paid Brock Besser like $9 million to come here, right? Because that's probably what it would have cost. Brock Besser's going to put up like 50, 60 points, 25, 30 goals. Good player. Let's say Nick Lardis turns into the Alex DeBrincat jump out the chute. I love playing the hypothetical game.
Like
Fuck
that.
it, let's do it. This guy had 70 goals. Let's say he makes an Alex
even
DeBrincat
Logan
jump.
Stankoven. Too,
exactly. Half point a game, 50-point player, shows he's got a legit shot. Like, you're going to be really mad when you can't give that guy top 6 minutes because you're overpaying for a guy who's going to play the same role, age more, and let's be honest, doesn't stay as healthy. I get the thought process. I think there's a couple Flyers I would have preferred. Not like Philadelphia Flyers, but yeah, like a 1 or 2 year deal like you did with a couple of these guys. But the reality is in the top 9, if your veteran forwards at this point next year are just Teravainen, Bertuzzi, Burakovsky, I think that's a good spot to be in. And then you just let the kids kind of fill in the holes as is, because I don't see guys like Dickinson and maybe Foligno, but I don't see Dickinson and Mikheyev and all these guys coming back. Like, they're definitely getting traded at the deadline. Every team's going to want a Dickinson or a Mikheyev at $2 million if they can afford it, which they can because a lot of these teams have cap space now. They're going to have options. And let's just say the kids don't work. I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but it's like, let's say, Anton Frondell goes back to Sweden. Let's say Oliver Moore goes to Rockford to start the year. Let's say the only kids on the team are Bedard, Nazar, and the 2 defensemen like we were talking about earlier. There's options to improve this roster. A guy I immediately think about is they could probably get Patrick Laine for nothing, and then you could just keep the kids in the minors. And then you have another top 9 option. Your power play is probably top 5 this year instead of top 10.
Yeah.
And you might win a couple more games because he's going to put 20, 30 goals in if he's healthy. You'll have options out there that aren't going to cost a lot, and it's going to come from patience. So, I was very adamant about the way Davidson's handled this offseason, and I think it was just like him telling the reporters to prepare everyone for a month that annoyed me the most. Because this team, as much as we like to say they like to keep their guns close to their cards close to the chest, they show their hand all the fucking time. They show their hand all the fucking time. They showed their hand with Levshinov. They showed it with Frondell. Granted, I really wanted Frondell this year. I thought he was the go-to option at 3 for what this team needed. Some would say Porter Martone, but I don't know. The ability to play center and wing and to be that built out at 17 is an asset to have. Like, you look at a guy like Mason West. I mean, fuck. This guy, I finally got to watch the tape on this kid. He's ridiculous when he's on the ice. And
he's a freak of nature, really.
Dude, he's going to be like 230, 6'6", with soft hands. Like, Tage Thompson. That's literally Tage Thompson right there. If he's got an elite wrist shot. If he doesn't, oh no. Who cares? He's 6'7" and he's ridiculous with the puck. You need that. You need that when your superstar player is going to be 5'9". So, I like the options they have in the pool right now. This is where it makes you really mad that they do off ice development camp. God, I would have loved to see the prospects on the ice this year because there's just such a diversity of player. But it got some interesting quotes from that prospect camp too.
Also,
You
don't
know,
want them fighting each other, potentially getting injured. So there's that as well.
we haven't seen this in a camp in forever. Oh man, I can't believe they let this guy fall to the third round. Oh Jesus. Yes, Barry Kakaniemi just want to face off. Let me put it on Twitter. But we're at that point of the off season. But
Yes.
we'll see where the team takes it. They got a lot of they got the youth has the potential to fill the top six. The bottom six is extremely crowded. That's the way I like to put it.
Yeah, it's not really a matter of quantity. Like they could fill out their entire team with all the draft picks that they've made. The thing has just been the quality now, and you're hoping you get that with Anton Frundell, and like obviously you're very much dreaming on Vaclav Nastrasel and Mason West. But even if they're like middle six guys, third line guys, you still take that. But yeah, you're hoping you get a Sasha Barkov equivalent with Anton Frundell. Looking at previous draft classes, you hope Sasha Boisvert is a middle six guy as well, a guy who can play center, and same with Merrick Vanacker, maybe not a top six guy, but again, just a middle six guy, play on your wing. And then Lev Shunov. You have Lev Shunov and Rinzel anchoring things. You obviously got Connor Bedard, Oliver
And
Moore.
Vlasic. Like three horses on the back end. Oh, and potentially Del Mastro because I think he's got a legit shot. They love Kaiser. Fuck, they're deep defensively. It's insane. Sorry.
And I look at that, like that's what you're kind of hoping, that all those guys do pan out, and then it just gets so crowded that then maybe next off season you can make a JJ Paterka type of trade. But yeah, that's just what I take from all of this, is that Kyle Davidson is betting on drafting, like he's betting on those draft picks. And as far as I'm concerned, like go one step further, like not double down, triple down, get an extension done with Connor Bedard. I would take the risk and extend Frank Nazar right now. I mean, yeah, maybe it'd be realistic to wait a bit longer, maybe till like New Year or whatever, see if he can keep this up. But you got to take gambles sometime, and I feel if I believe so strongly in Frank Nazar. If he gets off to another good start, like that price is just going to keep going up and up. So yeah, maybe you do got to overpay a little bit to keep like sign Nazar to a long term contract. Like I just look at the Logan Stankoven contract. I feel that could be a good comparison. Maybe you're paying him a bit more just because he is a natural center and you see him as your second line center going forward. Um, and for all the talk of Connor Bedard or Frank Nazar, can you win with your 1-2 punch? With that as your 1-2 punch at center, you know what helps having if Vanesh Strassel pans out, having him playing your top six. Same with Mason West, Anton Frundell. Like even though he's not
Sasha
6'3",
Boisvert.
6'4", he's still like 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, and I bet you he'll get up to like 210, 215, even 220. So yeah, that's my main takeaway from this off season is like Kyle Davidson. Like we're going through the draft. It's gonna take a long time. Patience is a virtue, and like yeah, we're all kind of disappointed and underwhelmed for sure. I mean, both can be true that they were smart for not really going after some of the contracts that happened in free agency. But we can also be disappointed. Like it's felt longer than it has because this organization was spinning its tires in the mud. Because realistically, it's the third year of this full like bringing in Connor Bedard. So yeah, we got a long way to go, but I think there is a lot of reason for optimism and not just being completely doom and gloom.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier when we were texting, every fan's entitled to root for the team as they please, but I'm just a firm believer you can't give up on 19-year-olds,
No,
especially in the sport when they're this talented. Um, and like they're gonna have size in this roster. Like I think Sasha Boisvert projects as like a Braden Shen equivalent, and if that's a center,
love that.
it's a pretty fucking good 3C. Like Ryan Green, like he's not the biggest guy, but he's fundamentally sound. He's gonna be a great 4C for this team. Um, they're gonna have options, and like you go back to Nazar, right? Like you were talking about what that contract looks like. I think the perfect comp in terms of like term and whatnot is Sorelli. Like if you're gonna go 8, it's probably 6.25, six and a
That's
half.
what I was thinking. Like 6.5, somewhere in between that.
Yeah, because I don't think like yeah, the longer you wait, the more it's gonna be. But I think this is a player where yeah, it was only like a. I'm gonna be honest, it was only like a 30-game stint where he looked this good, including the Worlds. I would like to see it till Christmas before I give that extension if I'm Kyle Davidson, and I think that's fair. But if he's got this going into the new year, if that contract needs to be signed before they go to the Olympics, it's not even funny. Like I think Bedard and Knight you can get done now.
Yeah,
I don't think
Knight is
Bedard's
also
going to
another
sign
one.
this offseason. I think he's going to sign during the season, like kind of like what Austin Matthews did on his first contract. I forget when McDavid signed his extension, but I believe it was in the offseason.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be midseason. Spencer Knight, I think, is the first one to get done of the three. And that doesn't even include some contracts on the back end that I think could be pretty intriguing. Like we talk about the opportunity on the back end. Ethan Del Mastro has a legit shot at top 4 minutes this year. If he becomes that Vlasic equivalent, what does that contract look like? Kevin Korchinski, if he gets NHL time, like obviously he's going to bridge, but what does that deal look like? Um, there's a lot of question marks outside of the three guys we just talked about. And the year after that, it's going to be Renzel and Levshinov. So you know the guys you're going to really have to pay, and I think you just fill in the rest at that point. Like bridges aren't going to kill this team. Yeah, you'd like to lock some guys up long term. Like I don't think it's like if Renzel is as good as we think he is next year, there's no reason you go less than 6 years with him. There's no reason. And to be honest, they're not going to be able to give him 8 years. So
Yeah,
you got to take advantage of that with Bedard. I think there's just no ill reason not to, unless you're taking him to like 25 and then lock him up till he's 32, like 32. Then I get that, but like he's not even 21. Like this kid is ridiculously young, and
bro, he
yeah,
doesn't
if he
turn
doesn't,
20 for another week, I think, which is so crazy.
Jesus,
He's played
it's
two
so
seasons, bro.
nuts.
Yeah,
He's not even gonna be able to drink a beer until we draft Gavin McKenna. That's so crazy. Well, at least in the states, but
yeah, he can do that in Vancouver.
he could go back to Canada with his buddy Matt Celebrini because you know he just loves it in San Jose. Um, yeah, but the Hawks are in an interesting spot. I know Soderblom went to salary arb. I can't imagine that deal being anything more than like
Nah,
max
nah,
three
nothing to worry
mil.
about there.
Um,
Yeah,
but I get where he's coming from. He's seen this coach or this GM give Mrazek 4.5. He gave Brossois 3.3. Traded for Knight, who was making 4.5. Yeah, I want my piece of the pie too, especially because I wasn't fucking bad last year. But if I'm Kyle Davidson, I'm like, yeah. But you also had like an 870 the year before that. So like, which one is it? Um, it's probably a 1 or 2 year deal. Probably two if I was the Hawks, and then Brossois is the wild card. Like if I would think he starts in Rockford as on a conditioning stint, unless he just good out of camp or he just never plays a game. Who fucking knows? But
Rhode Island, or he gets traded to the
he's an
Oilers.
enigma at this point. Like
Mm,
I don't know what to think of him, but it's going to be fun to see Knight a whole season. I'm curious what the
yes,
game split's going to look like there. I think you should probably start 40, 45 games minimum.
yeah,
Um, you
maybe
have the
50.
opportunity to tandem with Soderblom, which I think gives him such flexibility. He doesn't have to play 60 games or something. But it's going to be interesting to see how he plays full camp under the new coaching staff. And I'm curious how Blashill's system fits this team. Um, it's a lot of curiosity. It makes me excited for camp, honestly.
You still got Drew Comesso as well, who could, I definitely think, especially if there's injuries, which is not hoping that happens, but there's a pretty good chance it's
I
going
mean,
to
he played
happen.
this year
So,
for God's sake. Like it's
mhm,
definitely possible. Um, as long and I think he needs a backup in Rockford too, so that'll be interesting. Who's going to be their Jonas Enroth, all the 2016 Leafs?
bring up back Michael Neuwirth.
Dude, no, who did just Michael Layton just signed as the goalie coach in Detroit,
That's
which I thought was hilarious.
crazy.
Michael Layton's going to be in the ear of John Gibson and Sebastian Cosa and Trey Augustine. It's so funny. All right,
And
guys, this is how
Sebastian
I got
Kosa.
fucking rocked by Dustin Bufflin. Get excited. And how I play for the Blackhawks in that weird fever dream of the season, but we don't talk about that.
No, on to 2025, 26 Hawks. The goaltending, I think they're set about as well set as you can be. I look at the defense, I think they're set as well. Like, my biggest complaint, really going back to when they won the draft lotteries, I don't think they have gotten a designated line mate for Bedard. And going into this year, it might just be as simple as, oh, your head coach actually plays table terrifying with Connor Bedard, or maybe Anton Frundell makes it out of camp and you just glue him to Bedard's hip, whether who's playing center or wing, whatever. Like, just put them together and let them work out, or maybe Nikolai just comes up halfway through the year and that's his line, mate. So, yeah,
Robles.
do you want to get into the draft here and
Yeah,
how it all
let's
played
rock.
out? So, number one, Matthew Schaefer, absolutely zero surprise there.
Oh,
Just
can I
looking
butt
at
in
the
for a second?
go for it,
ESPN,
yeah.
you guys fucking suck. Why are we interviewing this kid about his mom 40 times? Like that, I just holy shit. Like the pin on the jersey and stuff, the crest, like that shit's cool. And like mentioning it when you're talking about him before he gets picked, don't make the kid answer those questions on the best night of his life. Or one of the best nights of his life. Like, I don't know. It was very low hanging fruit journalism, and I wasn't a big fan of that. And it seems like all networks were doing it, which is some bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah, and they did that last year with Lev Shunov because unfortunately, I think Lev Shunov's dad died as well. And like, I think there is a way to like bring it up, but not like just be over and over again. So yeah, your mom died and you got drafted. How are you feeling? Like you know, you can't. There's a way to do it, and it wasn't that. I mean, as a
Yeah, these
whole,
are
the draft was
18-year-old kids, man. Like, holy shit.
yeah.
Oh man, but
Like I think
great
as on the
professionalism.
whole, the draft was just a complete failure. And to me, it wasn't even the decentralized draft. It was just like the presentation, how they did it. Like, why did
I
it
think they
take
miss
almost
being there.
5 hours? Yeah,
It really
and
like being there. The draft feels like the blink of an eye. Watching it on TV, it feels like a goddamn marathon. Like, oh my god.
dude, you're overstimulated at the draft pretty much. Like especially when we're in Vegas and Nashville and Montreal, like on a
Dude, all
sugar
the
rush.
photos on the sphere, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah,
All the jerseys and stuff,
sensory
like
overload. Yeah.
holy smokes. But like that it makes it a spectacle, you know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe it's just the like I feel like you could say that for a lot of things, like being there in person it goes by faster, but it just really felt like it was dragging on this year.
Oh,
Like
it was. It was almost 5 fucking hours.
we looked there at like 9 o'clock because, like, for reference, like we were streaming the draft, and Pierce was supposed to go hang out with his family because we were like, "Oh, it's gonna wrap up at like 10 o'clock. We'll be good to go." What was it like? 10 o'clock hit. It was like pick 18, and we're just sitting there like,
Yeah,
"Oh
we're
my
barely
god!"
halfway through. Like there was still almost another 15, like over 10 picks to go. Crazy.
But hey, we got rewarded for waiting till the end because they traded back into the first round for Mason West, and they did it
Yeah,
despite LA, which I think is hilarious.
yeah. Take that, Ken Holland. Well, surely that was the worst thing that happened to the Kings this offseason. But anyways.
What do you mean? They signed Corey Perry. They clearly had a great offseason. They re-signed
No, no, you're
Kuzmenko. They
right.
didn't do anything else.
No. Hey, they got Joel Armia. They're just trying to recreate the 2021 Habs.
And
And
they
like they
probably got
kept
such a good back end too, with like Doughty
dude, they
and
kept
Clark and Spence. Oh fuck.
no, they kept Jordan Spence. Yeah, everything is fine there.
Oh Jesus. All right. Well,
But
back to the
there's a lot. A
draft.
lot happened. We haven't recorded since the night before the draft, so yeah, we might get sidetracked a couple of times. Bear with us.
There's been a lot of
Um,
stupid things that happened. Cody CC watch was a very fun time for me on July 1st. It was worth it. It was worth the wait. Let's just put it that way.
and you think the draft was bad? We sat there in free agency for like 3.5 hours or
Oh,
whatever,
Nick
and
Ehlers
nothing
is going to
happened.
take his time, even though he knew he was going to Carolina the whole time. God, I hate this sport.
Yeah,
Oh my god! And then all the this is why the league sucks. All the extensions happened like in a freaking 2 hour time span on a like a day before our free agency opened. It's just like you guys all stink. Oh my god, this is the worst league ever. Like you look at the NBA, they're having 17 trades, and you know Giannis might get
it's
traded, and
crazy.
freaking Durant got traded, and you look at the NHL, and it's like we'll give you Paterka, but we don't want picks. We only want mid NHL players.
No,
Take it or leave it.
no, we don't. We don't want Jordan Cairo or Noah Dobson. No,
Ooh,
crazy.
yeah, that
Or
was a good
Marco
thing.
Rossi apparently.
I mean, talk
Crazy.
about winners and losers of the draft because I got some.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to like. I don't know how you want to do this, but I kind of just wanted to go like top 10 pick by pick. Um, Again, just the Islanders as a, like looking at the whole picture, them getting Matthew Schaefer #1 overall, like can't go wrong there. I don't know if he's going to be a Kale McCarr defenseman, but he definitely seems like he's going to be a top pairing guy who's going to be their #1 power play quarterback and munching a lot of minutes. And like, what do you think? Do you
Munching the
think he starts in the
mins.
NHL? Because this is just me again. I don't. This is probably the least I've known about a draft in quite some time. Like me, logically, I'm thinking he should probably stay another year in Erie because I think, is only like a week or a few days away from being eligible for next year's draft. I just think with his injury, it might like help him to go back to Erie. I also could see him staying. I think he'll get a 9 game sample regardless, but I wonder what are your thoughts on that?
This is where I really wish he was committed to a or NCAA team because I
Mm-hmm.
think it would control his development
Which is
so
the
much
way now.
more. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're already in talks with the new CBA to make it to where you can actually not send 19-year-olds to or the
Thank
dub when they
fucking
don't need to go to
god.
the dub for the fourth
Yeah.
time. But
Korchinski.
all I'm going to say is there's a reason why Gavin McKenna is going to Penn State next year. There's a reason why Caden Lindstrom's going to Michigan State next year. It's you can control your development better, not just on the ice but off the ice. It saves the wear and tear on your body of being on a bus 5 hours a week or 5 hours a day when you're going to these
Especially
spots.
when you're
And
in Western Canada, having to travel to
not,
Moose Jaw.
but with Schaefer, I really think he's going to make the team. I don't see why he wouldn't. You got to think the Islanders weren't the worst team in the league last year. I think people forget that just because they have the first overall pick. Like this team was in the race for the final wild card spots in like the final 6 games of the year. I mean, obviously they were probably out of it since like January, but like you're in the hunt up until that point. Like, and they had health issues. Like Barzell and Horvat both missed time last year. Like they just signed Drouin. Duclair missed like the whole year last year. I feel like it was just they got Siplikov. I think is a really interesting player that they've signed last year. They got that killer guy from Russia who looks like a demon. Like they're gonna have pieces and they can shelter him. Like that's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough. They have plenty of NHL defensemen right now that can
They still
play
have Romanov, who they extended. They got Pelech. They got Pulak. Even trading Dobson. Like they still have guys. That's a good point.
100%. You can put him as your number 5, give him power play time, and let him earn his minutes. And hopefully by the end of the year, he's playing top 4 minutes. But as of now, Romanoff and Pelech have those spots, and I think there's a perfect opening on that third D position next to Scott Mayfield. In the meantime, and he's a pretty steady defenseman to play with, and they got a good structure, and hopefully Sorokin's not terrible this year, but if the Oilers could trade for Sorokin and Barzell, Stan Bowen would be the best GM of all time, or whatever the stupid
Well,
tweet. Oh, yeah.
oh my
But
god, yeah.
yeah, like let's trade freaking Ilya Sorokin for Stuart Skinner and freaking Darnell Nurse. Like, what are we talking
Fair
about here?
trade.
Or like the guy that's like Morgan Riley has trade value, but Dougie Hamilton's going to be a cap dump. Like, I'm so fucking sure, buddy.
What?
Oh my god, like the delusion this offseason's nuts. But I think he plays in the NHL. I don't know. And you could shelter him, and you give him time, and like you said, if it's after 9 games and he doesn't look like he's ready, send him back to Erie. But I
Don't
think I
think
want
that'll
to
work.
control
Yeah.
his development, and the Islanders are one of the more perfect teams for that to happen. Like, let's be honest, if he was in San Jose, he'd be in the NHL number 1 defenseman as an
Oh,
18-year-old.
easily. Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, that would be a terrible position for him to be in. Out the chute, obviously. Like, down the road, yeah, you want to be the number 1 D-man for Macklin Celebrity, but there's a lot that comes with that defenseman position as an 18, 19-year-old. Like, look at Korchinski last year or 2 years ago. And it was because he was going to be in a no man's land of his development because he wouldn't have gotten anything from going back to Seattle. Like,
No.
I don't know.
That's why I wish you could have gone to Rockford, or the NCAA rule would have been in effect,
We
because that would
said
have
the
been
same
perfect
thing
for
with
him.
Doc, too. Like,
Mhm.
God. Doc would have benefited so much from going to Rockford in 2019 and having stints like he would have. But whatever, fix and butts. It's funny. I was watching Kirby Doc highlights from last year when he was healthy, and I was like, "Yep, I remember why." At one point, we thought this player was going to be good. It's like he just, when the tools are all put together, he's a fucking demon. But that's like 10% of the time he's on the ice,
I
unfortunately.
think at this point, it's just a matter of if he can even stay healthy, and he just
Yeah, 2
unfortunately it's going to
reconstructive knee
happen.
surgeries in 2 years. Yikes! And that's a broken
Yeah.
wrist attached to that too, and a concussion history. Thanks to Bowman. Good stuff. Poor kid, but it's all good. His brother's gonna be better than him anyway.
Tell him. So yeah, the Islanders, they did finish 6th in the Metro, but they were 35, 35, and 12, so they were technically 500 according to Gary Bettman's rules.
Thank God. The thing that would save Bowman's ass all the time being Batman 500. Wet fart. But yeah, they're not like. I'm not saying they're making the playoffs next year, but like if they get worse, they'll
They're not gonna
have
be bad.
NHL talent. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna be the Minnesota Wild. Get excited from like 4 years
And
ago.
everyone wants to be them.
Not even the Minnesota Wild don't want to be that clearly. But yeah, I think he makes the NHL. Final answer.
Yeah, and it sucks losing Dobson because that's top pairing right-handed defenseman, and you got 16, 17 overall back for him. You got Emil Heineman, who can be like maybe a middle six guy, but he's probably more like bottom six, like third line type of guy. I think they extended him for pretty cheap too. And I know the thing is they really wanted to get Jimmy Hagens. That didn't happen, but all things considered, not being able to move up, getting Kayshawn Aitchison and Victor Eklund is a pretty good haul. And like
Oh,
they could have
getting
just
Eklund was
drafted.
such a steal. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm, I was like, we were clamoring for Kyle Davidson to move up and try to get a Victor Eklund, but obviously, just looking at their draft class and all the size they got, Anton Frendel being their small player, I don't think that was going to be a thing. But yeah, the Islanders to me would have done just fine getting Matthew Schaefer first overall, but yeah, getting Kayshawn Aitchison and Victor Eklund, that's just gravy on the mashed potatoes. That's a cherry on the top of the cake right there. What a day for them, and I think we could look back even like like in a couple of years from now, like that's going to be a monumental day for them.
100%. I mean, they got so now all of a sudden probably a top 10 prospect pool. Um,
Got
they
Callum
got
Ritchie too.
Cole Eiserman. I like the kid they drafted in round two. They're pretty deep now. Um, they're gonna be able to have a nice transition with a lot of these guys going into their late 30s. So um, that's somewhat credit to Lamorello with the way he set up the team, but it's also credit to Darsh. Darsh just put his like stamp on this team very quickly, and yeah, they lost Noah Dobson, but this is where you're gonna laugh. From everything I've seen, sounds like Tony DeAngelo was already doing everything Dobson was doing for that fucking team. So let's just
Crazy.
take that role, I guess. Oh my God, Matthew Schaefer, Tony DeAngelo pairing. I need it for one game. I need it for one game, so it could be like, "Welcome to the league, kid. We're gonna put you with and hand grenade and see how you play." Like, imagine drafting Artem Levshunov and being like, "We're gonna put you with Prime Jay Gardner and just see what happens." Just two hand grenades on the ice. Pull the pin, see what happens. Who knows? Explosion might go in
It's
your net.
literally it's that clip of Peter with the small arms and hands. And he like throws a grenade and just blows blows up all in front of them.
Oh,
I'm
God.
obsessed with that Peter. Um,
Small arm Peter.
I aspire to be him. Um, but let's go into second overall. There was a smoke screen. You smoke screen and son of a
League
bitch, Mike
sucks.
Greer. Yeah, and they ended up taking Michael Misa, which I thought was going to be the thing anyways. But I was definitely open to the surprise of them maybe taking Anton Frendel. But all in all, they made the right pick there. And again, I think he's going to college. Like they can control. Like I wonder if they can get him. Like he's going to get a sample, like a 9-game sample in the NHL. But I wonder, like, does he go down to the AHL or does he maybe stay in college? 'Cause I don't think he's going back to the OHL.
Yeah, I thought he was going to BEU. I thought, if he doesn't go to the
He
NHL,
could
which will
be.
be
I'm not sure
which
what
will
they
be
want to do
interesting
there.
because like if you're San Jose, just play him. Like you have no fucking depth in that lineup. Who are you going to play? Newly acquired Phil Kershev? Like get the fuck out of here. Put him in the lineup. Like we talked about this a couple nights ago. I
Adam
thought.
Gaudette,
I
2021
mean, I
draft
actually like that
Saskatoon.
pickup. That's he actually scores points unlike Kershev, but unless
Yeah.
you're glued to a generational prospect. But what do I know? No, Pat Maroon scored 30 goals once playing with one. And Chris Kunitz was a goddamn Olympian playing with one. It's a pretty good gig, but you got to be able to hold up the pedigree. But you got if you play Misa this year, you have four really good forwards to build around. You got I forget how they run their lineup, but I think it's Celebrity and Eklund, and then you do Smith and Misa or vice versa. Put
Mhm.
Eklund with Misa and Smith with Celebrini, or put Celebrini with Misa. Who cares? You're going to have that flexibility, and if you want to play him as a center, your top three could just be Celebrini, Smith, Misa next year. Play Misa playing the third line, playing with some defensively. Like I think Misa and Gaudette would be a fun pairing. I'm not even gonna lie, just the way Gaudette's developed his game in Ottawa. But there's no reason why he shouldn't be on the roster this year, in my opinion. Especially with like they're doing the same thing the fucking Hawks are doing. Like they're leaving spots open for the young guys to earn them. You look at guys like Musty might win a job out of camp. You look at guys like Cagnoni, who played well last year. Like he's probably going to win a spot out of camp on the back end. They're leaving spots open just like the Hawks, and I think there's no reason why Misa shouldn't already have one of those spots.
So I pulled up the Sharks lineup on Daily Faceoff. They don't have Misa in there right now. Their
Me and your
lineups are
stuff.
set Eklund, Celebrini, and Smith, which is just all Nang. Their second line is Tyler Toffoli, Alex Wenberg, Phil Kurashev. Third line, Colin Graff, who is very
Oh,
like
Colin Graff. That's what I was
underrated.
forgetting. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Ty Delandria, Adam Gaudette, fourth line, Barclay Goodrow, Zach of Stopchuk, and Carl Grunstrom. I forgot he was on the shirts as well. Now here's where
Oh,
it gets
brother,
really
this
fun.
guy stinks.
The defense is Mario Ferrero, Timothy Liljegren, Dmitry Orlov, and John Klingberg, Shakir Makula Doolin, and Jack Thompson. I'm pretty sure they claimed Nick Leddy off waivers too. And then their
Yep.
goaltenders, Askarov and Nedeljkovic.
And people will look at me with a straight face and tell me the Blackhawks have the worst roster in the NHL. Cool,
No,
man.
but the vibes are so good. The vibes are
Whatever,
so
bro.
good, and that's all that matters.
Whatever. Every time I watch Artem Levshunov and Frank Nazar play hockey, I know that that's not the case, and Vlasic for that matter. And Bedard's just. I think that's just who
Pardon me, our
Bedard is at this
generational
point.
talent has autism. We're so sorry.
Damn it, bro. I was gonna say he's serious like Taves, but he's got a little bit of swagger like Kane. Like he's not gonna be this outspoken guy, but
No,
he's not
no.
McDavid, that's for sure. He's got a personality. He guy's a fucking asshole on the ice, just barking at the ref all game and shit. Like,
Dude, I think the
uh,
Blackhawks like have a lot of guys who I think could be person. And this is not to like trash on the Sharks. I think it's more so like the people that are like, oh, the future in San Jose is so bright. Like it's that meme of like,
none
oh,
of us
like
know what the
the
future
San
is for
Jose
either of these
Sharks and they're
teams.
so happy, and it's like the subplot Blackhawks, and it's like them going through
Human
Silent Hill.
resources.
Yeah, that too. And it just reminds me of the meme of that guy like popping the champagne. Sounds like Sharks have good vibes, and it just goes up the stairs. It's like you're the last team in the NHL. Like let's. But why are we going with this narrative that the team has good vibes even though they won 20 games? Anyways, but like the Blackhawks, I think have a lot of guys that could be personalities. Like Nazar, obviously, bro. I think Lev Shunov as well, and I even just look at like Spencer
Rondell.
Knight. Like he just seems like so beyond his years, and same with Alex Vlasic. But yeah, Anton Friedel seems like he has a personality too, and that seems like a good way to transition into the third overall pick. Is yeah, I didn't get Misa, but we're still pretty fucking happy that we got Anton Friedel at third overall. I mean, I would have been like, to me it was Friedel or Martone, and if you get Michael Misa, like you throw out all the plans. That didn't happen. We got Anton Friedel, and but you've been leading the charge for that, so I want you to I'll give you the floor here to talk about him.
Anton Frondell, no matter what, was what I said the moment the Hawks got the number 3 pick. And I mean, I think the film speaks for itself. This guy was almost point a game in Hockey Allsvenskan. Started the year injured, people forget. So he had a slow start to the year, missed camp and all that stuff. Finished the end of the year on a blazing streak. Yeah, he didn't have the best under 18 game, but at the end of the day, I'd prefer a stronger performance against grown ass men in a men's league. Yeah, it's not the SHL, but he had a higher point per game than
Men's
David
league.
Pastrnak coming out that year. This is a guy who can
Who's
play
that
center.
bum?
Yeah, who's that guy? Who's that fraud? But can play center or
Probably.
wing. I think he's going to be a winger on this team. It's just the way the centers stack up. But in my opinion, guy's going to be a demon on the power play. He's just got such great spatial awareness, the ability to create space. He can get that shot off from basically anywhere, whether he's going to play net front or on the right circle for you. That shot is going to be lethal enough to get 30 goals a season at his prime. I'm so confident in that. And I think it unlocks Bedard's shot too, because you're not just going to have one elite shot on the power play anymore.
Yeah, you
There's
gotta
going to be
respect both
diversity.
shots that either of them can shoot. Yeah,
And Nazar's got a heck of a one timer too. We saw that this year, and he's got a pretty good wrister too. On top of that, and you're gonna have options on this power play. Like I just think when this team is at its best, you're gonna have Bedard, Nazar, Frondel, Lardis, Renzel. If everything works out the way your plan envisions, you got Nazar on the bumper, Frondel on the net front, Bedard and Lardis fucking winging the circles, just elite wrist shots all over the place, and then Renzel's gonna dish out every puck, and Bedard's gonna dish out every puck. Um, he just complements his team so well with his strengths, his physical maturity. I mean, he's 6'1", 205, something like that already.
yeah. I think he's gonna put on even like more. Like I think he's gonna play closer to 220. He might grow to like 6'2". Like he could be a big guy, like Taves.
100%. And I think his two-way game is more underrated than people give him credit for. Um, it's going to be a position where you're going to have a lot of luxury of what you want to do with him. Because like we talked about earlier, Nazar had great chemistry with Bedard when it was those two and Bertuzzi together. So if you want to rock that and make Frondel your 2C, I don't think there's a guy in the world who's going to complain with Bedard, Frondel, and, let's say Sasha Boisvert down the middle. Um, it's a luxury that Kyle Davidson's done, which is drafting a lot of centers because it's a tough position. You don't know who's going to pan out at it and who doesn't, but they're going to have a lot of options, especially in the faceoff dot. Like you got to think like if you have to take a defensive zone draw, you can put Frondel and Bedard on the same line. And if it's, you got a left-hand guy in the dot and you got a right-hand guy in the dot, you might have the luxury to put Bedard on the wing, which might benefit him in the long run. I think he's still going to play center. Yeah, he's not going to be Patrice Bergeron defensively, but how many times have we seen an offensive centerman? Oh, I don't
He's
know,
not
maybe
Patrice
Connor McDavid.
Bergeron.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby wasn't winning Selkies as a 19-year-old, but also, Sidney Crosby had is a demon. Like, so I'm going to talk about that. I think this show has very much made our opinion clear on Sidney Crosby, and he's
We
probably
fucking hate him. No.
He's the worst.
God.
But I just really like this player's game. I think it projects well for the NHL level. I think bare minimum, this guy's on the roster at the end of this next year. Whether that's picking him up like after the deadline, once the season ends at
Yeah.
the SHL,
Or
or
start the
he makes
season.
it out of camp, which sounds like they really like. He said it in his first interview with the Hawks. He said, "If I'm not good enough to make it out of camp, I'm going back to Sweden." And I kind of have to. That's pretty admirable of him because a lot of people would just be like, "I'm making the team. I'm gonna, I'll do whatever they want me to do." It's like, no, I want to finish what I started where I'm playing right now, and I can name a bunch of dudes off the top of my head who went back and played in their country and, came back and played pretty good. I immediately think of Lucas Raymond, who spent another year in the SHL prior to coming over to North America. So I think this is a great player. He may not be the highest scorer in the draft, but I'm going to be honest, if this guy is a 60-point, 30-30 guy for you who can play center or wing, power play demon, unlocks more of Bedard's game, I don't think you can look at this as a bad pick when it's all said and done.
I mean, Jonathan Taves only hit 80 points, twice? Like,
Twice.
but the thing with him is he always showed up in the playoffs, and you could pretty much pencil him in to be like a 30-40 guy. And again, if you get that from Anton Frendel, and I think most importantly, like if you pair him with Connor Bedard and unlock his potential, I think that's the most important part. And I've been saying this, and like you always are going to look like recency bias. You're going to look at the winning teams, and I've been thinking like, oh, the floor for Anton Frendel is Anton Lundell, and could if it like at his peak, his ceiling, like you're hoping that's a Sasha Barkov, and like I'm just thinking like, what if Connor Bedard does move to the wing? Maybe that's better for him, and then you got your Barkov and Reinhardt. I would fucking love that for Frondell and Bedard if that were the case. And again, just the personality, like not the cockiness, but like he's a very confident guy. And him being like, "Oh, which position are you going to play?" And he said, "Oh, the position that Connor Bedard's not going to play." Like this guy, I think like they could put Bedard and Nazar together, but I think that draft pick was made in mind with those two just being attached to with each other for a decade plus.
Yeah, and it's not like Jonathan Taves played with Patrick Kane his whole career. He had pretty good
Yeah,
run when Patrick Sharp was flanking his wing too, and Marion Hossa was flanking his wing. Like it's good to have options, and they're gonna have options. And you look at Frondel's game; it complements Bedard so well. What's the one thing Bedard isn't the strongest at? It's his board play. I think it's his board play in the offensive zone. He's not able to get pucks off the wall the way he'd like to, and that's Fondel's. That's his bread and butter. His bread and butter is getting that puck off the wall and slinging that shit to the slot or slinging that shit to the point. And I think it's just going to open. Like I said it before, and I'll say it again. If I'm Jeff Blashill, I'm showing Connor Bedard all of his tape from his rookie year before he broke his jaw. And I'm like, this is how you're going to get better in this league, which is one, going to the net, and two, going to the middle of the ice, which he's great at doing when he wants to do. And I think Frondel's going to help clear space for that to happen. Like, it would not shock me if the line is Frondel, Bedard, and Bertuzzi, and it's just like, hey, we're going to go clear fucking space for this guy and just let him do his thing. And we'll just bang
yeah.
in pucks when he's ready to just pass it. Because that's kind of what he was doing already with Bertuzzi, and you just get another guy who can just be a horse in the offensive zone on the wall and add another elite shot to this prospect pool. Because when it's all said and done, I think you have three guys with 30 goal potential on the roster. Um, Lardis is still to be seen. I haven't seen him at the NHL level.
Wild
Same with
card.
Fundell. But out of those four, three of them I think have the potential to score 30. I think Nazar has the potential to score 32. He's not going to be like perennial 30 goal guy. I think Frondell could be a perennial 30 goal guy, but that's still to be seen. But he's got a lot of translatable traits, which is very exciting. And he's not the worst skater in the world, which is always something people worry about. He's pretty quick when he needs to be, and they develop him properly. I think you got a hell of an NHL player there for the future of this core.
It almost feels like the Artem Shunov pick because it's like I felt like Lev Shunov, he still does like have. It seems like he's gonna have a very high floor. Like I think at worst he's a second pairing guy that can still eat a lot of minutes. But it's like, oh, this guy is already so good, but he's still so raw, and there's such a high ceiling with him. I see that with Anton Frendel as well. Like I think he's gonna be a second line player, but again, whether he's going to become like a superstar player, that remains to be seen. But I'm very optimistic he will hit that. Again, that's what you're hoping for when you're drafting third overall.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you don't draft a third overall player to be a freaking fourth line center. That's for sure. Um, you got to swing for the fences sometimes, and I think with the traits that this guy has and what he brings to this prospect pool, you can. It is just. I'm going to be honest, as Kyle Davidson like to say in his interview, I took a grand slam with my last pick. Apparently, I like to swing
I
for
was
the
swinging for the
fences.
fences. Yeah,
Just stop giving everyone bait, including myself, because that's just such a that's such a monstrous quote. But this has been the best day of the year for Hawks fans for the last 4 years. Continues
really,
to be
only
that.
all we've had.
That's all I got. That's all I got. The worst. But yeah.
Pretty happy with the pick. um, might as well go on to the rest of the Hawks draft class, and then we'll kind of like recap the rest of the top 10 and maybe some surprises. Vaclav, I still don't know how to say his name. I don't know if I'm saying
Or
it properly.
Nestor.
Vaclav
It's
Nestrasel at number 25, who grew up a Hawks fan, and his dad posted on social media that this was meant to be. That was the thing. Like, I did have the draft on in the background, but I just honestly wasn't paying attention to it that much. Like, I was more so focused on the stream. But he wasn't there for the draft. He was in Czechia, and he said like, "Oh, it was like early in the AM." And when he found out he got drafted by the Hawks, like they were screaming so loud that the whole block could hear him, and like almost the whole city. And again, like it just reminds you of this is why we do it for moments like that. Just a truly awesome moment. And what do you think about the pick? Like, some people might say it's a bit of a reach, but again, like at this point, like when you're in the 20s and supposedly being a weaker draft, like this team needs size and skill, and you get that with Nestrassel. Yeah, you can take that swing at 25.
I'd much rather Davidson take swings than take a lot of safe players at this point, which he has done in recent years. I look at a guy like Merrick
Mm-hmm.
Van Acker. That's about as safe of a pick as you can make for, yeah, that's probably an NHL player. I'd argue the same can be made with Oliver Moore as well. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get to this point, you have to start taking swings on potential. Like we talk about it all the time. Like you look at drafts in the past where around this range, guys like I'll just name a couple off the top of my head. Yeah, they weren't first round picks, but like guys like Jason Robertson, guys like Alex DeBrincat, they're out there at this position. You just have to have the right crew to develop them, and I think this is you banking on your development crew and your coaching staff and the crew you have built for this organization because going back to last year, like Artem Levchinov is an extremely raw hockey player. Vaclav Nestrasil is an extremely raw hockey player. Mason West is a goddamn dual sport athlete. He's still extremely raw at
A
the sport.
fucking quarterback.
He's a good one too. Jesus, but it's you're banking on the skill, you're banking on the tool set, you're banking on the fact that he just unlocked a whole nother level of his game in the second half of the year, Muskegon. And this is a guy who I believe is going to UMass next year, so he's going to be playing college hockey, which is probably where I
Correct.
want him to
Yeah.
be.
Mm-hmm.
Playing with all that size, going up against Gavin McKenna, just and it sounds like maybe Michael Misa and Caden Lyncham. There's going to be a lot of the next generation of NHL players to go up against. It's good competition, and they're all different ages. Like you even got guys like Ryan Chesley, I believe, who's like 21 stuff. Like you have legit grown prospects that he's gonna be able to go up against, and UMass is going to be a team where we're going to really learn how skilled he is because he's going to be one of the best forwards on the team. So, if he's point a game or over in college and, he starts putting on more muscle because he's 6'6", for God's sake. Like
Yeah, he's a
it's,
6'6", 190.
yeah, like he's got to put at least 25 more pounds on, but hopefully more, honestly. But this is a guy with
You're
top
hoping
six
he's like
upside.
230, 235, even 240.
Like, think about the luxury you're going to have potentially to just go on the power play and be like, all right, we're putting Mason West and, freaking Nestrasil on both power plays
There's your
right in front
net
of your
front.
goalie's face. Yeah.
Yeah, there's your net front
Like, if
settled
Mason
for
West
the
is as
next
talented as
decade.
he is, he should be number one power play. Just Dustin Bufflin 2010 is immediately what I think of. Just annoying the fuck out of Roberto Luongo, who's one of the best goalies of all time. Like,
Have you ever
that's.
seen that?
Hmm?
I was gonna say, have you ever seen that video of like Luongo? He was doing poetry, and I forget how it goes, but he was just basically just like Dustin Bufflin, get your fat ass out of my crease. I would see if I can find the clip and send it to you.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. But, like that's what you want at the end of the day. Like if this guy is just if he's an NHL player, maybe middle six, demon, just can create space, be a nuisance, get people on the power play and whatnot. It I think it could work. Yeah, it's not a guy who's going to be in the NHL next year, but
No, probably not
this
for
is a
next
guy
another
that like
couple of
3
years.
years down the line when this team's probably starting to turn the right direction. Going to be a hell of an addition to a forward core that's going to need it, which is some size. When the biggest guys that'll probably be on the team in a couple of years is like Boisvert and Frondell in terms of the forward core. So it's going to be some beef that they need, and very high offensive upside with him as well.
He compared himself. I don't know if he compared himself directly to Matthew Nice, but he said like a Matthew Nice-esque player. And Matthew Nice just signed a 6-year contract worth almost 8 million per. So I don't know if he makes it to the NHL that quickly because again he's just so raw. Like I would like he's at least spending 2 years in university at UMass, and if he somehow like takes like just a giant leap, then again that's cherry on top. That's gravy in the mashed potatoes. Looking at his stats for last year, 42 points in 61 games for the Muskegon Lumberjacks of the USHL. 42 points, 61 games doesn't look great, but he had a very good second half, and in 14 playoffs games, he had 13 points, 7 of them were goals.
Pretty good.
Is that good? You tell me. But
you know,
yeah, like you said, with like Davidson has gone pretty safe, like later on. 23rd, like Oliver Moore again. That's an NHL. You could still be a second line guy, but I don't think that's a guaranteed top six guy, and same with Merrick Van. I just even look at like this year they could have gone, say, a Malcolm Spence or I don't know, Bill Zonin or like a Colin Potter. I would have been fine with those picks, but yeah, just at this point, like they need size and they need to take more swings. And again, like you can't trade your picks for NHL ready players. You might as well, use all those picks to move up, move around, and take these big swings. That's what all the, like I've said so many times, that's what the draft picks are for. Um, On to the next pick. This is the most intriguing one easily. Mason West, multi-sport athlete. Like I think he's going to Michigan to play football like this summer and fall. Um, and there could be a reality where like he does stick with football. Like worst case scenario out of this, since they drafted him in the first round, like if he doesn't sign with the Hawks, they would get a compensatory second round pick. So that's worst case scenario out of this. Best case scenario, like maybe Tage Thompson. I don't know, but that's like again, that's the type of swing you want to take in late in the first round. And it sounded like other teams were trying to get him as well. Like LA, it sounded like more like I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but I think on the Call Up podcast with Cam Robinson and Chris Peters, which you should absolutely listen to, they said that the Kings were like trying to get him, I think, at 31, but the Hawks traded up and got him. That was supposed to be their big splash, but that didn't work out. But
Their big splash was Cody Cece. They'll be fine.
no, they didn't sign him. um, but this is very reminiscent of like another big swing in the late 20s. Sam Renzel, another guy that was in Minnesota high school, very raw, and you're thinking, oh, he might take 3 or 4 years in college, and look at it like 3 years, he's already like it's crazy how like some people might view him as like the best prospect in the pool right now, Sam Renzel, and you're hoping the same with Mason West, 6'6", 218, like still doesn't turn 18 for another month, like it's just still so raw. And again, it couldn't work. It might not work out. He might not even play hockey, but again, like I said, that's the kind of swing you want to make. For Adina, or is it Adina High School? He had 49 points in 31 games, 27 goals, 22 assists, and then he had a brief cup of coffee in the USHL with the Fargo Force, 9 points, 10 games, 1 goal, and then he had 0 points in two playoff games. Bum! I can't believe they made that trade. He's a bust. But now, what are your thoughts on the pick? Very intriguing.
I think it's exactly what you said earlier. Sam Renzel was a guy that we looked at and it was like, okay, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a bit. No one's expecting this guy to be in the big leagues 2026. You know what I mean? Like, this is another guy where it's like, yeah, let's look at this time in 2028 and see what we're saying. Just like we were with Renzel in 2022. I can tell you now, he's had quite the development curve. And sometimes the talent just speaks for itself. Sometimes the athletic build speaks for itself. Sometimes you just have to trust the skill that's there. And I'm going to be honest, like, he got drafted in the first round. Unless he's getting recruited by like Ohio State or a big college football team, he's probably going to hockey, guys. Like AJ Spelliscy had a ride to Illinois last year and a couple other D1 schools, and he said, "No, I'm good." There's money to be made earlier in hockey, I would argue, especially in his case, because he is a unicorn. If the skill matches the size,
oh,
and even if
depends
it
how he'll
doesn't,
get paid. Yeah.
oh my God, if it matches your 10 million, like, yeah, if it matches in the NFL, you're probably going to make generational wealth. It'll be hundreds of millions of dollars. Not nearly as much as you make in hockey, but you have to be really fucking good to get that. And
Not guaranteed money usually,
not
unless you're Kirk
guaranteed.
Cousins.
That's the one thing, too, I always say. NFL is great, but they can cut you on a dime, so you better get that guaranteed money. Every contract in hockey is fully guaranteed. Mike Richards is still getting paid for another 5 years. Love reminding people that. Like,
Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid.
it's a real thing. And I think there's yeah, there could be a reality where that happens, but I just think this is a player who we're going to look back in 3 years and be like, holy shit, this guy is going to just reinvent the top nine at that point. Think about it. Like, In 3 years' time is when I'd like to see Nestrasil and West kind of start cracking the lineup. And by then, you're going to know what you have with this first wave of young guys. You're going to know what you need. You're going to know what's going to benefit this core. And just by the way they're building the roster, holy shit, adding 2 6'6" wingers to this team or potentially centers completely changes the dynamic of the core. Like, you're telling me if, like, Mason West projects as, let's say, Alex Tuck and that type of player,
yeah.
you're gluing that to Connor Bedard or Frank Nazar. Like, oh my God. Like, that's disgusting. And that could be potentially in your prospect pool because you took a flyer in the late first when the same time last year you took Merrick Van Acker, which I still scratch my head about, if I'm being honest. Like, that's not worth trading back into the first round, but I digress. Maybe Merrick Van Acker turns into Brandon Saad, like his equivalent is got drafted. Yeah. But I like when they swing more like this. It's something Kyle Davidson, I think, is afraid to do at the higher positions in the draft. From what we've seen, Korchinski, I think, was a reach. So he does like the swing on defensemen in particular. But this is his first big forward swing, in my opinion. Like, some would argue Nazar, but I think Nazar's pedigree spoke for itself. Guy was a top 10 prospect.
If they picked him at 7, yeah, I would argue that. But at 13 at that point, no, not in that draft class.
But, let's look. Like, Moore's a pretty safe pick. Boisvert's a pretty safe pick. Renzel was his big risk, but that's a defensive player. So I'm not counting second rounder later because that's just, if we're really going to count that, he should have taken fucking Lane Hudson in 2022. But if ifs and buts. I mean,
there's other teams could have as well, and they didn't. So
every team could have, even
the Oilers, you traded that pick 3 times, I think.
Yeah, a lot of teams did. Arizona did like 6 times. Mm-hmm. No one thought because that was the year they had 3 firsts and 5 seconds. But I think it's just we're gonna have such a luxury in this prospect pool in 3 years' time because we're gonna see the first wave come through. We're gonna know what we have, and that's right around the time when a lot of these guys will be 21, 22, 23. Like, that's when you trade them if you don't want them. They're gonna have such a luxury when this team's going to start competing because not every player can make the roster. We talk about this all the time. Like, they've drafted like 25 forwards in the first 3 rounds, it feels like. These guys all can't make the team. It builds competition. It makes people want to strive to be better. And at the end of the day, you don't have to rush these guys, which I think is the big thing. Like, yeah, they're rushing the first wave, but like it's because the team fucking sucks. 3 years' time, if we're still in this position, Kyle Davidson's well on fired for that. Sorry, if they're at the bottom of the league in 2028, Kyle Davidson's been fired for over a year at that point. I'd have to think, but what do I know?
I would argue like if they're like if it's the same result as last, like they need to win at least a few more games. Like you got to be flirting with 30 this year. I want them to win 30. Like we're asking for so little.
Team is so ass. Oh my god, we're begging for 30 wins, and you would think we're begging for the cup. Like it's so crazy. Oh my god. Like this is probably one of the more reasonable, shitty fan bases in the world because like. Yeah, people want to win cups with Bedard. Like, in my opinion, it took Nathan McKinnon 9 years to win a fucking cup. And he was a first
round pick. It took Ovechkin almost 15 years to win a fucking
cup. Not everyone is
Taves
and Kane. Not everyone is Sidney Crosby. Like, this is just – it doesn't work like that all the time. Especially with the way this team was built and what Bedard got here, but that's not the point. You can argue the same shit for McKinnon.
Yeah. Florida, like, Barkov was drafted in 2013. 11 years it took for him to win a cup. Like, it takes sometimes it takes time.
Fucking partner in crime getting traded for Kachuk for it to happen. Like, it takes time. It takes time for all this shit to come together. And there was a time where people looked at Florida and they were like, holy shit, look at all this shit they got coming in. Look at all these top picks. And then they had to trade almost all of them outside of Barkov and Ekblad.
And they're not regretting it at all.
Right no, not at all. Like, yeah, you hope there's inside you there are 2 demons. There's the Florida Panthers way to this cup, and there's the Tampa Bay Lightning way to the cup. One is building your entire team through your system, which is what I think the Hawks are trying to do. And one is saying, we couldn't do that, so we're going to just adjust and make a team.
And that's what Vegas did, too.
Make a team through trade. You're going to have options. That's all I'm trying to make. The long... at exasperated point is they are going to have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
Long-winded.
To be honest, I don't even remember the rest of the draft class off the top of my head. I probably should have pulled that up, but
We have
I think it's
Denoye
Nathan.
at 5, or Denoye at Florida,
Or no, I meant
Utah.
like the Blackhawks draft class because
Nathan
they.
Bem in the third round. I like. I didn't think he was
Mm,
going to fall to the third round. It's a guy who, is probably going to stay in the in junior the next couple
in
years. Score,
Kamloops, welcome back, Logan Stankoven. Bang.
and he's
Movie.
bigger. But the guy who's going to score a shit ton of goals in junior and probably go to the AHL, score a shit ton of goals, and maybe gets cracked in the NHL. His size is
Maybe
definitely
another
going to
Mike
help it.
McClartis.
Him and Gavin Hayes are going to stare at each other, and it's like, I'm you, but better. But
You're the cheap fucking knockoff.
it's a guy who I probably thought would have went in the second round that fell to the third round. So I don't mind that pick. The rest of the picks are just whatever. They're picking goons at that point. I'm so serious.
I was just gonna say they're going for size and like
they're picking goons and enforcers, and that literally was the game plan. Like, and it's okay. Like, you have a shit ton of skill in this pool. You need people like that. But it's the fourth round. I'm not going to fucking complain about their fourth through seventh round picks. Especially because I don't know shit about him. I know the one guy played with Denoye, Sumph. He's like 20. I think he's going to go play with like Providence or something.
He didn't think he was going to get drafted, and he did, so that's cool.
In the fourth round. Kyle Davidson loves his guys.
We have Caleb Denoye at home.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my gosh. But, besides, the first four picks are the ones that matter, and it's a lot of size added to this pool. It's a lot of skill added to this pool. It's a lot of goal scoring added to this pool. Outside of West, I think West is more of a playmaker, but got a lot of different. Like we talked when we were talking about this prospect pool a couple months ago. There's a lot of different players. There's a lot of different skill sets.
Very
I think you just added a lot more as well. It's good to have variety, unless you're at the Golden Corral. Then it's all made.
But what would you grade the class? I'm low key thinking like an A minus. Like I really do like the class, especially the first four picks. Like I think always the easy like safe way is to be like B plus. But you know what? Fuck it, A minus. Frank Fleming, F, D minus, C.
I'm gonna give it a B plus, just because it's another year. Like I get it, you got to trade picks to move back up, but like 2 years in a row, they didn't pick anyone in the second round, there was a lot of talent that was there in the second round this year. Bem is fine, but I'm gonna give it a B just because he did swing. Like, this isn't a projectable draft class, or as projectable as recent ones. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can confidently look at 2023 and see, they probably potentially drafted 5 NHL players in that draft when it was all said.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great draft. It could have been better. That's the crazy part. Imagine if they took Robble instead of fucking Guyan. Oh my god! Like,
you never know. Maybe Guyan just comes out like just because.
Well, Robble's 6'7". That's more the reason I say that. But just big fucking net. But this is a draft where it's really hard to project, so I don't really want to give it an A.
Yeah,
like an A. If it was Michael Misa, it would have been an A. Nothing against Frondell, but that's just fucking house money for the rest of the draft. But I'd probably give it a B, and that's just for projectable reasons, and me being biased and wanting a second round pick. But what do you know? Could be another. I don't even know I don't even know what a bad second round pick is. They had probably Ludwinski. Like, it could be a Ludwinski or it could be a cancer off. Like, you don't know, but.
And that's the thing with drafting is, like, you look at Korchinski 7th overall, like, maybe he doesn't pan out to be what we think or hoped out of him, but then you get Frank Nazar at 13 and 25. Like, sometimes that's just how it plays out, Like, even the 2020 class, Lucas Reichel, you're hoping, like, he's the top 6.
Where does he play this year? Where does he play?
I'm surprised he's still on the team, to be honest. Like,
I thought Bowman would have snatched him up by now.
He might still. Like,
him and Ike Powell with Draisaitl? Oh, man.
I like Ike. I like Reich. Let's go!
Draisaitl, don't worry. We got your wingers this year, buddy. Strap yourself in. It's going to be a lot of speed and a lot of aura. Get excited. It's like, do we have good wingers? No. Do we have hype moments and aura? Yes.
Bang! Let's go!
Yeah.
What was I going to say after that? I don't fucking remember. But
Reichel and the Iceman.
the 20 the 2020 class, Lucas Reichel, he's been kind of a bust. But then you get Wyatt Kaiser in the third round. You know, like that's just how the draft worked. Fuck 2019, Kirby Doc third overall, but then you get Alex Vlasic in the second round. You know, that's
2021,
just how
Ethan
it
Del
works.
Mastro was a fourth round pick. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
just how that shit works.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy,
Really, just a
18-year
crapshoot.
olds project differently in 3 years than you would have guessed. It's a crazy concept of growing at a young age. Would have never guessed.
But then also, like, they're still young. Korchinski could still be a top four guy. Like, we just gotta see. He's only 21 still. Like, you don't want to just give up
Dude,
on him.
Korchinski's in like the best spot. Like he does not have to be the savior on the left side. He could
Nope.
literally be the
Nope.
best number 5 in the league, and I'm so content with that.
Be their
Quarterback on the
Nicoletti.
power play. Welcome back, Eric Gustafson. Let's fucking go, baby. Oh
Western
my god.
Canadian
Oh
Eric
my god. And the
Gustafson.
best player on the team fucking loves him, just like Kane did with Gustafson. Oh my god. Welcome back. Welcome back. Oh my god. This is great.
We never left.
Those two do have a really good chemistry. Like I look at a lot of Cortizzi's goals and Bedard's just dishing him because he knows
Oh,
where
they
he
love
is
each
and
other.
vice
They're
versa.
Western Canadian boys.
Oh. It's alright. Frankie's got chemistry with everyone. Literally.
He's just got aura. Unlimited aura.
He's just fucking dog. He's a dog. He's gonna
Really
be.
is.
You will know the name after next year, or I'm gonna cry. There's no in between.
I think people know Frank Nazar now.
Clearly not. He did make Western Hockey Scouts prospect list, but
Why are
fucking
we
Yanni Neiman did.
sorry, why are we up in arms about again, this is how you know it's the off season. Who was the
No, it's
do you
just a
remember
dumb list. It's a dumb list.
Like the Julius Honka argument from like a
Oh
long time back? It's
god,
like
you just unlocked. Oh my god! Like, for context, Pierce and I have been talking about best Steve Dangle podcast moments. Them bitching about fucking Julius Honka in like 2017. I'm finding that conversation. I will find it. It's either him or like Yoki Paka or some shit. I forget what it was about.
yeah.
But oh god, yeah, we're at that point of the year. We're at that point of talking about Jack McBain being overpaid.
Yeah.
No, but for
So
real,
the
though.
rest of the draft class. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
about we didn't want
sorry.
Caleb Denoye at 3, but what do we think about Caleb Denoye to Utah?
Fits Utah immensely better than he would of the Hawks.
Yes, totally agree.
This is a guy, like, Utah already has their top 6 talent. They just got JJ Peterka to add to that mix. They honestly need a defensive center. Like, that's what they need in this prospect pool, and that's exactly what he's going to be. And I think if Denoye is your 3C and you put him with, like, Hayton, that's a fucking really good defensive third. Like if they keep Schmaltz, you do Hayton, Denoye, Schmaltz on the third line. But I think Schmaltz is going to make a lot of money next year, so he's probably going to be a free agent.
That's Blackhawk. Bang.
Not paying Nick Schmaltz $8.5 million, but that's what he's going to get. Love him, but it's just not happening. Plus, Ryan Donato is wearing his number, so stay away for at least 3 more years. But I like the pick for him. It makes a lot of sense for their prospect pool, adds a lot more size. I really just like it for the defensive aspect, and they have a legit two-way centerman added to that mix because their best players are on the wing as of right now, and Cooley and Keller and Guenther and all these guys are wingers. Like, you need a center down the middle who can play for these guys, and I think they got him right there. And Utah's got pretty good core building right now, if I'm being honest.
And they're in our fucking division.
Cool. They're gonna get shut out by Spencer Knight. I can't fucking wait. But
Tell them.
No, like, this is the thing. Like, the Hawks' whole division is going to be a caravan of mid in about 3 years, so it's going to be a crapshoot. Colorado's going to fall off a cliff. Dallas is going to get in cap hell. Nashville's whatever Barry Trotz is trying to do. St. Louis is still old as shit. Half their roster. Mid. Yeah, they're mid.
Who scares you in the Central right now?
Colorado. Maybe Dallas. At Dallas, then Colorado. Winnipeg doesn't scare me anymore. They never really did. Hawks actually play Winnipeg very well. Nashville never does. St. Louis never does. Minnesota, LOL. This is the last team, and I totally forgot about them, as usual. But and they might not even. I mean, shit. They want to trade Rossi, and the fact that Kaprizov doesn't have a mega guru extension July 1st is a shame on them because they shouldn't even think about this guy touching free agency. But who knows? Maybe Mark Lazarus' BS article from a year ago is going to finally come to fruition.
Oh
Who
my
knows?
god.
Nothing against Mark, but that was just such an odd soundbite. Dude just went
I
viral a
also
couple.
think it was just taken out of context because yeah, like no shit, the Hawks would love Kirill Kaprizov as would other 31 other
So
teams,
would every
and
team in the league except Pittsburgh
yeah,
because they want to lose and get every good player
no,
ever. Because Kyle Davidson's just so good, or not Kyle Davidson, other Kyle D is just so good at his job.
another analytics nerd,
Another
not a true
nerd
hockey guy.
like Brad.
Speaking of hockey guys, pick number 5 was Brady Martin to the Nashville Predators. On the topic of Central Division teams making questionable decisions, like
Love it. I
oh,
love that
I
pick.
love it that they didn't take Martone or Hagens or
God, if
or
I would have thought that was the pick for Hagens the whole way. But Nashville clearly wants to do things Barry Trotz's way, and I don't see a single forward with top wing or top line potential in that prospect pool right now. They got a couple second line guys, they got a bunch of third line guys, and maybe they're really building this Nashville team exactly how they were built 10 years ago. We're gonna have a fuck ton of minute forward, and then maybe Philip Forsberg's pretty good, which he was. But I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know what they're doing. The veterans are pissed, as we've heard time and time again with Marsha Show. Yossi's only getting older. Saros is only getting older. I don't think a pick like Brady Martin is going to help that situation. And who knows? Maybe they're trying to trade those guys, but would have liked to see Nashville put a legit, really like a horse in their prospect pool, and they chose not to, which is fine by me. And who knows? Brady Martin might be the next. Fuck, I
Sam
don't know.
Bennett. But
Guy,
even then, Sam Bennett's not a first line guy. Like, if that's what you're hoping him to be, Sam Bennett, like that's not gonna.
perennial
That
40-point
alone,
player who popped off in a
mm,
playoff. Congratulations, you
yeah.
got Brian Bickle. But cool. If you're like, I love that the teams in my division are swinging for the fences on 40-point players. Makes me very happy.
I just want to go through the Nashville Predators lineup. So first line Forsberg, Stamkos, Marchessault. Second line Michael Bunting, Ryan
Man, this
O'Reilly,
is so
Luca
great in NHL
Evangelista.
16 franchise mode. Holy shit.
Third line Eric Haula, Fedor Svechkov, Zachary Leroux. And then your fourth line is Cole Smith, Michael McCarron, and Matthew Wood. Roman Yossi, Justin Barron, Brady Shea, Nick Blankenberg, Nick Hague, LOL trade, Nick Perbix, and then Yussi Saros is your
That's one big pile of shit. Oh my god.
goalie.
Like, what is the end game with Nashville? Do you like praying Steven Stamkos finds the fountain to use and just gets a 100-point season out of his ass? Like, he doesn't have Kucherov anymore. Like, what are we doing
Or
here?
Point, or Hagel, or yeah,
This
any
comes
of those
back to
guys.
what we talked about. Like, they should have traded Forsberg to LA 2 years ago when they had the chance and just dove headfirst into the rebuild. Now they're just in this middling phase where you're going to be overpaying all these old guys and you're not going to have you don't have any prospects that are going to help the old guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if you have, a James Hagens in the prospect pool. It's one thing if you have something of just,
Or
that's going to
Martone.
produce points and elevate everyone around him. Fuck, you could say the same for Martone.
I would add Jake O'Brien in there before. Fuck, I
Yes.
would have taken a swing on McQueen
Yeah,
before
I
Brady
thought
Martin.
that's another
Yeah,
team that I thought would have taken this. Like, at least it fits the mold of what you're trying to do. But I don't know. Like I said, just keep having teams in my division be idiots. It makes me very happy.
so number 6, Philadelphia Flyers picked Parker Martone. Got a
Flyers
pretty
almost
good
came
pick.
out
I
like,
got.
oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say like yeah, great pick, but then I don't understand them taking Jack Nesbitt at 12th overall. Like,
Mr. Nesbitt, not only taking a 12, they've moved up to 12 to take him,
yeah,
which kind of funny how both teams lost that trade.
that's what I'm like. I don't know much about this class to like declare losers. Like I do have winners, like obviously the Islanders,
A lot of
and
high
but
floor guys.
I'm very like I'm puzzled like what Pittsburgh and Philadelphia were trying to do, like just reaching on guys who should have gone 10, 15 picks later. Like if you just stayed where you were, you would have been perfectly fine.
See, I'll give Philly a pass with Nesbitt because I think adding Martone and they had a really good second round as well. They added a lot of talent to this pool. It's
Fairs,
Philly's
okay.
putting together a really good team right now. They just traded for Zegras, just signed Cam York to a big extension, gave Dan Vladar and Christian Dvorak $9 million, but we don't talk about that part. Um,
No.
it's tiny business by Danny Briere, and he expects his team to not have the worst goaltending in the salary cap era. So,
Oh my
pretty good bet.
lord, dude.
Pretty good bet, honestly.
Yeah. And you got Rick Tocchet coming in. Hopefully,
And
he doesn't give up on the team like Tortorella did.
if what we're hearing from the rumor mills, Porter Martell might be joining Gavin McKenna at Penn State this year. So
Shit.
prospects in your backyard playing. I don't know if Penn State. The discrepancy of college teams. It might be a Villanova town, but um, hey,
It's probably within distance. You're not going
your top
across the country
prospect
to
plays
see
in the
him.
same state. It's pretty sweet.
Mhm.
And he's going to be playing with the number one pick next year, most likely. And if not, he might make the team out of camp. And if not, he might go play somewhere else. Who cares? If I'm them, I want Porter Martell playing college hockey. I don't want him in the O
Mhm.
next year. It's nothing
Nope.
against the CHL. But
He's like an October 06 birthday too, like specifically that too. Like he was a later birthday, yeah, but no.
he doesn't. Yeah, for some of these players, another year in the CHL does not do him any justice, unless like you're Mitch Marner, and then yeah, it did him gangbusters. He had like 120 points the next year, but for a lot of these guys, they just get complacent in that next year there because they're like, I've already done
I think you need
everything
to take a
here.
step, unless like you believe like the team you're on is gonna win a Memorial Cup and you want to
Yeah, if
stay
you have a
there.
super team, it's a little different. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but not every team has that. And you got to do what's best for your development. The Flyers got to do what's best for them because they have a potential first line right or left wing for Mishkov. What a perfect winger for Mishkov too. Like,
And Zegras.
yeah, like whoever plays in the middle of that line, have fun. You're just gonna have a shit ton of skill around you. And they got a pretty good forward core. We talk about it all the time. They still got guys like Konechny who were over 20 game last year, and back ends
There are
deeper
a
than
lot of good
people
wingers.
realize. Oh yeah, a lot of good wingers. So the reason they play Christian Dvorak 5 mil. They need centers, and they're playing Zegras at center from the sound of it. So there's another one. But overall, I really like that draft from the Flyers. Honestly, a lot of size,
Yeah.
a lot of skill, and really rounding out your prospect pool.
This has got to be the steal of the draft. No, Jimmy Hagan's going to the Bruins at 7. Like, this just feels like 2014 and 2016 over again. We won't talk about 2015, but like Bruins not like rebuilding, but retooling, and then you get David Pasternak and Charlie McAvoy to fall
It
into your
can't keep
lap, and this
getting
kind of
worse,
just feels like the
bro.
same. Yeah, I know. Now you got
They're getting
Jimmy
Keaton Durhoff
Hagens,
next year. Jesus
the
Christ.
fucking meme of I can't believe I have to drive to all the way to work on a Saturday, all the way to work.
Them with like in what a time to like for the Bruins to be in this retool because like I'm almost positive like 4 of their top 5 prospects are all playing for BC next year. Like
Mm,
in your backyard, you'll just get to see the future of the Bruins with like William Moore, James Hagens, Dean Letourneau.
yeah, that's right. They got William
There's
Hagens
another
back.
guy
Yeah.
they drafted who's going there next year. Like it's got to be so sweet to just be like, well, Bruins aren't playing tonight. Let's go drive over to BC, which is like less than an hour away, and go watch
Yeah.
all of the kids play. And then the kids can immediately go to win the Bean Pot and then go play in Boston for the playoffs. Great.
Or for a playoff push at least.
And God, if James Higgins could be a center, that is so. Jesus Christ. The rest of Pasternak's prime is going to be with him. That's just. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Boston's going to be like Boston's going to get 60 like 3 more times in his career. It's going to be stupid. And no one's going to talk about it because he's a winger and he's not in Canada. He's not Austin
Yeah.
Matthews or Samson
No.
Reinhart.
No.
No. Or the reigning Rocket winner. Sorry, Draisaitl. Forgot about
yeah, I
you,
would
bud.
say that's got to be the steal of the draft. Number 8. I don't mind the Kraken taking Jake O'Brien, but I just look at like how they've configured their team. They should have drafted a defenseman one of these years, and it should have been last year. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely should have taken one last year. But at the end of the day, they have four, like we talk about this all the time, they have four high end
You can
forwards in
trade one
that
of them.
pool.
Yeah,
No, keep them all. Like the rest of your fucking players are over 30. Like, do you have Beniers, who's going to be a. I'm screaming it from the rooftops. This guy's having a Heisher like projection. He's just not getting the offense right now. He's going to be a perennial Selke candidate. Shane Wright's starting to figure it out at the NHL level. You could throw Jake O'Brien and Berkeley Catton on the wings, who are two excellent playmakers, and unlock their goal scoring potential. And you have your top six right there. And then who gives a fuck who's on the other side? Um, maybe Yanni Neiman can be your top six
or
right wing.
Jagger Furkis. What a name! I
Yeah,
love that
Fur in
name
your
so much.
kiss, or Carson Ripkoff. Like they have
Kissing your
guys.
fur.
Edward Chalet. Like they got a lot of okay guys, but now they have four horses on their forward core. And if I'm being honest, they kind of built their back end by committee already. So it makes sense to an extent. And they got Blake Fiddler day two, so I really like that pick.
Fiddler.
Fiddler. But so they ended up getting a defenseman who I think was probably a first round talent, which is good. But
Oil King too.
I can't hate it. I can't hate it, especially when you're in a division with Connor McDavid. You gotta score a shit ton of goals, and they got the horses to do it in a couple of years.
There's that Vegas team with
Mitch Marner and Jack
Marner.
Eichel. Oh my god, yeah, that happened too. Yeah, like you gotta score goals, and like let's look towards the future. San Jose's got four fucking horses at forward as well.
Yeah, that
now.
too.
Like you need
Anaheim.
Anaheim. Like you're gonna need to score goals in this division. So I get it. It's an arms race, and you got to keep up. But Seattle's got bigger questions. Like, are they ever going to put Philip Grubauer down, who has been a dead dog for 3 years now?
No.
They have bigger things. They have bigger fish to
what
fry.
Jason Botterill said.
Whatever. I don't hate the move for him though. I think O'Brien put with a guy like Shane Wright is a very good duo, and then you have Catton and Beniers, and that's disgusting. Or you just throw three of them at center. Like you just have it's like the Hawks, man. You got a shit ton of options.
These next two picks are so funny because like there's a picture of Ratty Murka being taken by the Sabres who like clearly put a premium on right-handed defensemen, and there's like one picture of Ratty Murka 1,000-yard stare, and then Roger McQueen in fucking Disneyland.
Also, for context of how long this fucking draft was, this kid got drafted at 10th, was able to take a helicopter to Disneyland, and which Anaheim is not close to where they were. I want to make that clear. Like, yeah, maybe for helicopter it's like 25, 30 minutes, but that whole sequence takes like 2-3 hours to get him into Disneyland, taking pictures of Mickey Mouse and Lightning McQueen and all that shit. And the draft was at like pick 24 when that was happening. Like,
yeah. Bro, the Blackhawks didn't make their second pick at that point.
They haven't even fucking picked yet, man. Oh, just reliving the just pulling teeth that was that draft.
But I mean, he's the big winner of the draft.
Oh, hell yeah! Like the memes win this draft, 100%. And the guy picked 95 of his number, which like I do like, but at the same time, like your whole career's a meme now. Like it doesn't matter how good you are.
I respect it. We need more of that.
I guess, man. But like, if I become a 50 goal scorer and all people are like, "That's the Lightning McQueen player," like, dude, I'm gonna be so pissed. But who knows? Maybe I'm just fucking miserable. I don't know. Probably.
No, we just need more gimmicky shit like that in the NHL. I think like we're so boring sometimes. Like, yeah, it might be. I think it's stupid, but I think it's funny and like.
They got the Iceman for McDavid. What are you talking about, man?
No,
they're so quirky and fun.
And we should just stop there. And then, hey, the Sounds of these Sharks have good vibes. Like, that's all we need right now.
Come on. Thank God we're in the real NHL. Jesus.
Crazy.
This league sucks, man. This league actually sucks so much. Why does it have to be one of the best sports on the planet? Oh wow.
Rest of the draft, like again, I don't get the Kindle and whatever for
Kindle. I get more than the rest of their picks. The rest of them are fucking fourth liners. Like Kyle Dubas maybe drafted 3 East Cows. I don't know. Like this is just what he does. But if I'm Pittsburgh, you came in with a lot of hope. Pick 11 and 12. There were names on the board for you to take that would have immediately helped this prospect pool. Like if they walked out with Victor Eklund and Jackson Smith, I think you're laughing all the way to the
I'm
bank.
surprised they didn't take a defenseman. Like
I just don't like
Benjamin
this draft film.
Kendall and
I like Bill Zonin
Bill
or Bill
Zonin
Zahn.
and
I don't mind
William
him.
Horkoff, son of Sean.
I don't like Horkoff. I don't like Kendall. In terms of where they took him. Like if Kendall was taken where Horkoff was taken, I don't think I'm complaining, but Horkoff is just you're not swinging with those picks. That's what I'm talking about. Like you could have taken a
No,
Horkoff or Mason West.
yeah,
There's 10 times more potential in Mason West for upside, but there's also a lot more chance for it to bust. William Horkoff is definitely going to be an NHL player. Probably not going to be a first liner, though. And if he is, cool. I'll eat my words in 10 years when it happens. Awesome. But
you have to buy his
definitely deserve
jersey.
this draft. Definitely deserve
Yeah,
this draft. With the amount of capital they had, they filled their prospect pool out with guys, I guess. They have a couple of intriguing prospects in the pool. I look at the guy they got for Jake Gensel last year. He's a very Koivunen, very good playmaker.
Koivunen.
Yeah, Koivunen. He probably makes a team out of camp next year, but it's bleak, man. Like it's him, Rucker McGroarty, Owen Pickering, and his band of merry men, and now you add Kindle. I don't know, man. Maybe we look at this in 3 years and we're like, wow, Kyle Dubas, man. What a genius. Oh, just like he did in Toronto. Um, I don't know. But as of now, I just don't see the thought process behind it. And it's not going to help you when you get Ivar Stenberg next year.
Yeah, McKenna's ours.
Or knowing
Or
Crosby, he's going to fuck up their draft pick and he's going to go Superman mode and they'll finish
just
13th last.
just to spite them.
If anyone's going to spite him,
funny.
it's Malkin. Because they're like, yeah, we're not re-signing you, bud. And you haven't even played a game yet. And he's just like, I need Malkin to go to Montreal at the deadline more than I need Air. Like, let that happen for the sake of the sport. And we can put him with Devin off, and it'll just be nasty. And Montreal will get their 2C, and they'll just be so deep offensively. And, Stan Montembeau will be number one enemy once the playoffs are done because he's not going to be able to beat Carey Price. But it's okay. Yeah. But Pittsburgh's draft, not great.
That's a
Wet
doom
fart.
and not five
Yeah,
big
that's
dooms
a doom for sure. 5 big dooms.
What were some other standout picks for you? I hate it, but it's such a good pick. I really like the Blues taking Carbonneau.
I like the Blues taking Carbonneau as well. The guy just kept slipping, and I was like, I don't understand why, unless you're just concerned with like it being the queue and whatnot. But the guy has legit talent. There's no denying that, and he's gonna be a nuisance in that prospect pool. Like the Blues may not have the high end talent, but fuck, they're gonna have they're just gonna be the Blues again. They're gonna have a bunch of guys who put up 50, 60 points and just be demons. Like yeah, the upside's not there, but man, they know how to pick the depth. And I look at Lyndon Lakovich to Washington at 27. I really like that pick. 6'4", 200, just offensively inclined to the max. He already goes into a deep prospect pool. Doesn't have to be rushed. I think that's great as well. I think Calgary came out like
I was just going to bring that up.
gangbusters.
Yes, solid.
Cole
Cole Reshny
Reshny
and Colin Potter.
and Colin Potter. My goodness, what a draft. I really like Carter Bear to Detroit. I didn't think they'd
That's
take him
good.
there.
That's their MO right there.
100%. Like that fits their pool very well. That guy's definitely going to be a middle six wing, maybe top six wing when it's all said and done. But I think that's a high floor, pretty decent ceiling on that player as well. Those would probably be the ones that intrigued me the most in the first round. Besides that, it's just a lot of guys taking what they think they need, which is fine. But I thought Columbus taking a goalie this early was interesting. Like, yeah, he's
Interesting.
very
Yeah.
good. I thought San Jose taking a goalie was interesting too.
Ravensburgen, yeah.
Ravensburgen's just off a pedigree of the name, I feel like, and what he's done with like Junior and whatnot, but he is whatever. You have Askarov and him now, which I'm pretty sure they're both right-handed goalies. Am I not mistaken?
Interesting.
So,
Welcome back, Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson.
oh Lord, get excited. I did want to shout out a couple guys day two though. Washington again, Milton Gastrin. Love that pick. Jack Murdaugh
They've
ended up
been
going to
good with
Philly.
that. Yeah.
The guy I was thinking about for the Islanders, Daniel Prokhorov, extremely good player in the or not the KHL, but the Russian Junior League last year. Malcolm
MHL,
Spence to New York.
of
Van
course.
Sagi to Philly as well. Shane Van Sagi, 6'3" winger,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State, beast. Like just such a good second round pick. High energy. He was looked very good in prospect camp as well. Walking around a lot of guys who people think pretty highly of. And of course, Carolina gets, all the guys
They
who we
do this
thought were going to be
every
good 3
draft,
years
bro. They
ago.
do this every fucking draft.
Ryabkin, they get Ekberg in like the 6th round, which is just ridiculous to me. But, yeah, those are some that stuck out to me for sure.
Yeah, that's really all I got too. Like, there was not really any like giant like again other than those like Philly and Pittsburgh picks. It pretty much played out. Like even Brady Martin, like there was a reality he was probably going to go top 5, so I'm not like shocked. Like, yeah,
I
unless
thought he
there
was
are
going
any like
4.
surprises to you.
McQueen falling to 10 is a bit of a surprise to me. I thought he would have gone sooner. Eklund falling as far as he did, which isn't even that far, but
That yeah, I mean Islanders make out like gangbusters. Yeah,
farther than expected. I'm trying to think. Like I like just looking at it. I mean, Carbonneau and Renchny, I thought would have been, or they would have fallen, or got picked sooner. I guess is a better way to put it. Braden Coots going at 15. I know Vancouver liked him, but that's higher than I would have taken him. And then, I mean, Colin Potter falling to 32, probably expected the way this cup run went, but the skill
yeah,
speaks for itself, man. He's playing at Arizona State. Like, come on.
yeah. I don't really have any other closing thoughts on the draft, but like just the presentation of it. Like I don't even care that like it was a decentralized draft, but just like them taking forever with the picks and having people come up and if it was just like 2 minutes between picks, let's go. Gary Bettman go up there and out. Like
Oh, Pierce,
I
you didn't
don't.
like the picks talking to the Wizard of Oz in the door in the dungeon room with Batman and talking to the Go Girls? Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing here?
Did
Ugh.
you see like James Haggins couldn't even talk to the Bruins front office? He was just like, "Hey,
Thanks for picking me. Jesus, this
yeah,
is just whenever the sport gets out of its own way, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good, but they just keep finding ways to get in their own way. Thank God they're going back to the Olympics. That's all I gotta say. Knock on wood.
yeah." But I don't mind them like going to different places. Like the Sphere was cool. Like even though we weren't there, I bet it was like different to have it in Peacock Theater. But yeah, just the way they went about doing like just have Gary Bettman go up there and make the picks. And if the prospects are there, go up and shake the hands. Like I don't mind them dragging it out a little bit. Like if it's 3 hours, it's fine. But that was damn near almost 5 hours. It should not be that long.
No, it's just terrible. Ugh.
Anywho, any closing thoughts on the draft, so we can move into more trades, off-season moves, free agency.
Um, yeah, you can pick where you want to go. I'm down to go either.
So I don't know. I identified. I think I got 5 teams here who I think had big off seasons. And we'll talk about all the big trades that happened. Like we're not going to get to everything, but first team I have, because obviously we have to talk about the Leafs. To me, they've had probably the most consequential offseason. Like they could have just traded Marner and that would be all, but they also re-signed John Tavares for a very good contract, and I'd say the same with Matthew Nyes, and then also getting a Matthias Machalli. Like I like what they did. I feel whenever you and I text or whatever, a thing we've used is like, oh, it's the Moneyball thing. We got to recreate this in the aggregate, and that's feels like what the Leafs are trying to do right now.
There's like 8
With
teams trying to recreate in the aggregate right now, and it's making me want
mhm.
to rip my hair out. Holy smokes! But yeah. Sorry, continue. In the
I don't
aggregate,
know how deep
always
you want to get into the Mitch Marner thing because it's like
an
it's more
era.
it's more complex than just, oh, we're moving off this guy. Like there's a lot to it. Like the best way I can sum it up is like it was a divorce that or breakup or whatever you want to call it that needed to happen for both sides. Both sides had to move on. If you're looking at it just in a vacuum, Mitch Marner for Nick Waugh, you're like, oh, that's a horrible trade for the Leafs. But considering like they Mitch Marner could have just walked straight into free agency because it sounded like his heart was in Vegas for like almost the past year, and like that's got to be a gut punch to Leafs fans. Like I think of it this way. Um, like I was 5 and 6 years old when Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews were drafted. Like I'm thinking there were probably Leafs fans that grew up only knowing a Toronto Maple Leafs with Mitch Marner, a guy who was beloved and got 100 points and was a Selke nominee and like but couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And there was just so many things of oh his camp sucks, like his agent sucks, and I think it just again like he had to move on, like not only the people he surrounded himself with, but then the stuff he had to deal with. Like it was a divorce that needed to happen, and I would not surprise me at all if Mitch Marner just pops up. Like he's gonna be fine in the regular season. He's gonna be a 100 point guy. He's gonna get 30 goals. He's gonna get 70 assists. Like he would have made any team better, but I think he took a little bit of a discount to go to Vegas, but he also got that 8th year in there, and he's not gonna have to be the guy in Vegas, but to me the big thing is it's not the fan expectation there in Vegas now, it's the front office expectation. Like Vegas is probably the most ruthless front office. Like if it doesn't work out, they probably might treat Mitch Marner like they'll make that decision more likely than the Leafs ever did. So like I don't know, what are your thoughts? Because I think Mitch Marner is going to go to Vegas, be just fine. It would not surprise me if he popped off in the playoffs, scored a few goals, and maybe en route to another Stanley Cup championship for
I
Vegas.
was gonna say so. Over under Mitch Marner, Conn Smythe in the next 5 years. So gonna happen. Over under does he do the Phil Kessel and win 12 months after getting traded? Now that would be funny. I think the people would like that. But I think it's a match made in heaven for Mitch. Like in a market where he's not going to feel the pressure from the media and the fans, which is all he really cares about, and playing hockey. And it's great for his family. It's a great school system, great place to live. Going to make more money because of the way the taxes are set up. He's going to play with Jack Eichel probably the rest of his career, which is pretty sweet. I don't know how Paul
At least
Marner's
on
going to
the
like
power
that, but
play. Yeah.
yeah, Jesus. I don't know who's going to shoot the puck, but
That's
just
my
got
that's my thing. I think they're gonna split them up, but yeah, you got one on each line, so
yeah. You
they're
put
doing pretty
Eichel with
well.
Dorofeyev, and you put Marner with Hurdle. I think that's the easiest route you go. And throw
Agreed.
both those idiots on the power play and watch some magic happen. But Vegas is in such a position to contend, and they got people just anchoring their teams so they can go to Vegas. Rasmus Anderson, but
It's crazy. Yeah.
I only want to go to Vegas. Okay, bud. Have fun in free agency when they can't afford you, because that's what's going to end up happening. Or he'll just come to his senses and realize, oh wow, I can make $9.5 million on some team. Yeah, I should probably go do that. But
Or Los Angeles, maybe? No, but they
Ottawa,
have state
like
taxes. Yeah.
whatever,
Oh,
whatever,
that's
whatever,
Canada.
whatever. Canada. But it's an era that we're going to look back on. A lot of mistakes were made. This guy probably should have been traded
On
in
both ends.
2023.
Mm-hmm.
I There's equal blame for everyone. At the end of the day, I think the guy who takes the most blame is the guy who got fired this year. Um,
Brendan
Brendan should
Shanahan,
have let
yeah.
Kyle Dubas have one more year to move Mitch Marner, because too many Kyle D's in this fucking league, and they're all terrible. But
Kill him.
but Kyle Dubas literally put a parachute in his contract. Like they said it on the Dangle show. And you look at the way it's constructed. That no move doesn't come in until the final 2 years. You have up until then. If it doesn't work, get him the fuck out of town. Or Nylander for that matter. But they kept betting on themselves, and I get it. Shanahan, came from a team that bet on themselves, but no, they didn't. They fucking traded everyone besides Eiserman to win those cups.
Bro, they bought those cups.
Yes!
Yeah, like that's a different era.
It's not the same. It's never the same. You were bought for winning those cups. It's just a crazy logic, but I I get it to an extent. You want to bet on your guys because you could see the potential there. But at the end of the day, it was the same problem for the last 5 years, and they did nothing to fix it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting change. I don't blame anyone. Like, both sides are going to benefit from this. I think the Leafs are going to play a more structured style of hockey because of this, and they're going to win. They're going to probably play better playoff hockey because of it. They're going to be able to have depth in the lineup, which is something that they desperately need. And they got rid of their worst playoff
Dude, they got
performer
Nick
out of the top
Waugh.
four. Yeah, I love Nick Waugh. I told you immediately. I was like, Nick
Perfect
Waugh
third
scores
line
more playoff,
center.
has more goals since he's been in the league than Marner in the playoffs. That's all you need to know. And he's going to play bottom six role, and he's going to give this team ridiculous center depth because it's going to be Matthews, Tavares, Lawton, Waugh, or Waugh, Lawton, however the fuck you want to put it, or David
They got
Kaof. Get
options.
excited.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to be deep. They're going to be deep this year, and they're going to. And you know, it's funny. The position that they're going to need at the deadline is the one that's there all the time: scoring winger. How many times has there been a scoring winger available at the deadline? All the time. All the time.
What a concept for a team to get a good winger, that for a team that needs winger support. Wow. Crazy.
Crazy. But their defensive depth's great. Their goaltending depth's great. Marner's going to be in a
That's
position where
all
he's probably
locked
going to get
in.
100 points again in Vegas. I'm going to be honest. Marner's best hockey the last 3 years has been when he's not glued to Matthews, so I think that speaks for itself. He's going to probably win some awards while he's gone. Might win a Selke. Might win a
He could win
cup.
an Art Ross. It would not surprise me if that happened.
Could win an Art Ross. It's gonna be a fun ride. That first, if I'm the schedule makers. First game of the season, Warner's going back to Toronto, and it's gonna be all over everything. And if it's not then, two hockey night in Canada's. You got to make this a big fucking deal.
Oh, it's
when he comes
Saturday
back to
night,
Toronto.
first week of the season, Vegas.
100%. Like, and you could do. I don't know. I guess you could do it in Vegas, but I think Marner's first game in Vegas
Yeah.
should just be against like McDavid.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
It's like, let's see how good Vegas is now. After they got curb stomped by Edmonton in round 2, like this whole playoff was just people curb stomping people. Like, oh my god, like Vegas
There's
curb
levels
stomped
to this
Minnesota
shit.
to get curb stomped by Edmonton or Dallas or Edmonton, who curb stomped Dallas and then got curb stomped by the Panthers. Like, it's there's levels to this league, and it's being shown with the way these teams perform. And I think that trade benefits Marner, and it's going to benefit the Leafs in terms of how they're going to play structurally. You look at a team like the Islanders; they got a lot better structurally with Tavares, which is very good. Or without Tavares, and the way they structured their lineup.
Mm-hmm. But I feel we've talked on the podcast about more like the off ice things with Mitch Marner. All I can say is like they're like, you can like Mitch Marner, but also realize the people that he surrounds himself with are not good for him. Like, whether that is his agent, like his agent is Darren Ferris, but like that's the whole point for your agent is to act on your behalf. Like, we always talk about Alan Walsh with Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, Alan Walsh doesn't just tweet that out, the picture of the sword going through Marc-Andre Fleury, because he wants to. No, it's because his client feels that way. Like, that's what you're, as an agent, you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take bullets for your client and do everything you can to like maximize his value, make him as much money as you can. You know who else is a Darren Ferris client? Sam Bennett. I didn't hear a single thing. Like, the whole time Sam Bennett was like, I want to be in Florida, and they got it done, and there was no drama there. And like 2019, like that made Mitch Marner such a divisive player. Like, he was this like Care Bear golden retriever character in Toronto. Like, he could have been the most popular sport in Toronto sports history. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, he could have been an all-timer, but it didn't work out that way. Again, there's blame to go around, but like, I just think in my life, there's people that I like that surround themselves with people that I don't love, and then also like I know there's people that have overbearing parents. Thankfully for you and I, we don't have that, but there are a lot of people that have that, and it feels like Mitch Marner just doesn't know, like truly know who he's surrounding himself with. And I hope like the change to Vegas like changes his perspective on things. Like, he did all that stuff, but then there's also like people just like so like taking it to different levels. Like, we heard the stories of like his car getting jacked, and obviously that's not Leafs related. That's just a horrible situation that happened. But like, people would like approach him on the street and ask him about his contract and like put like litter on it on his cottage, like again just for both sides. And I hope he goes to Vegas and things are better, and I hope both sides are better for it. So that's kind of my whole spiel on it. But it's very much an era wasted, and I think the best way to get a grip, like understand the situation. Watch that Steve Dangle video. I know a lot of people saw the title and were like, "Oh, like Mitch Marner was so good. Like, how do we know?" And like, no, you got to watch the video. It's almost an hour long of him being pretty much complimentary of Mitch and not like sat like being mad towards Mitch. It's more like this could have happened and it sucks that it ended up that way. But that's it. It is what it is. So, but fuck, like all that considered, like Vegas gets another star, and like yeah, it must suck. You're losing 100 points with Mitch Marner, but you get to me the best third line center back in the NHL with Nick Waugh, and like I look at his contract, he's making $3 million right now. If he hits the market, he's making at least double that. So great, like great job by Brad Trevangelian to salvage this offseason. Because
The best nickname ever. I love it.
I like the moves they made. Like John Tavares, no one should ever complain about him again. Taking like he took less to go to Toronto the first time, and then now he's taking like a significant pay cut to
He's
go
going to
up
be a
to
Leaf longer
Toronto.
than he was an Islander.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be remembered as a Leaf and not an Islander. It's just the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except by Islander fans. But
Yeah,
guy
John,
loves
you're a
Toronto, man.
traitor.
Yeah, you're a traitor. You're a liar. You should have told us. We could have traded you. The security guards
We
just
don't need
laughing his
you.
ass off. Like
Yeah,
they're all laughing. Like Tavares is even smirking. He's like, "This is fucking
yeah,
crazy." Like, oh
yeah.
my god.
This fucking guy. He's like,
Just wait till Marner takes a penalty in Toronto. Oh my god. Someone have a
oh
camera on that if
yeah,
that happens.
yeah.
Delay of
Fucking
game
with
in
the
Toronto.
glass. Yeah.
Oh my god, I need it. I need it so bad. But you're
I
right. No,
need
they
it.
made a lot of room, or they made a lot of moves to deepen their roster. And I think people forget the moves they made last year at the deadline. It wasn't just for that year. Like they got Carlo and Lawton for like another 2 years each, I think, which
Mm-hmm.
is nuts. And Lawton's making
Everything's locked in
1.5.
there pretty much, except for Marner.
Dude, Lawton's making
So
1.5 and he's probably going to get 40 points this year. Like they're in a really good spot depth wise, and they're going to add more. Like they're going to get another winger in here somehow. I don't know who it's going to be, but they're going to
could
get
be
one.
Easton Cowan. Could be Eastern Cow.
Could be East downtown East Cal. Get excited. Um, yeah, on Tavares' wing with Nylander. That genuinely, that could be the answer. Um, they could do anything. It could be the answer too. Like I see a world where you put Michelli with Tavares and Nylander, you throw Domi up with Nyes and Matthews, and just run it. And then when the deadline comes, make some moves. They're going to be good enough to make the playoffs. Like I just don't see
They
a
might win
world
the
where this
division
team
again.
maybe. I mean, fuck, Florida's gonna get a whole year of Marchand and Jones. That's gonna be a problem. But they're also
Yeah,
not healthy. That's
they're
another
banged up
thing. Like it
still.
sounds like
Who
Kachuk's
cares?
going back on IR. So he's got to get his whole fucking body reconstructed. Guy's gonna be
Then they're gonna get
Frankenstein by
Malkin.
the time he's
Fuck.
32. But he's gonna have fucking 4 cups to show for it.
Yeah, I
But
don't care at that point.
yeah, it's a deep Leafs roster, and it's not high end. I still don't think it beats the Panthers, but it's good enough to get
Who
them
does
to.
though?
It's good enough for a year where they were obviously going to take a step back. Like they're not going. If they are the 2018 Blackhawks, where you just went from 50 wins to in the gutter, everything had to have gone wrong, and everything went wrong for that team. Everything from Crawford getting hurt to Sod sucking to Taves sucking to
Have
everyone.
the post all the
Like,
time.
oh god! And we talked. Like I just remember talking about it in 2017. It's like they lost 60 goals. That's going to be so hard to replace. With Marner, they lost 100 points.
Dirty
That's a
goals.
hard
Yeah.
thing to replace. And you're betting on a guy who had 18 points last year. Yeah, it's a tough look in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have 3 of the 4 really good forwards. One of them's making less than half of what he was making before.
Like a third almost.
1 through 6 on defense, deep as hell. Got a 1-2 punch in the goal. It's a good spot to be in. Good, be in a lot worse spots. Let's just put it that way. They're not banking on Corey Crawford and then he gets hurt and they're fucked. If Stolars gets hurt, they still have Wool, vice versa.
And they got Hildebeest in the minors if it comes to
God.
that.
Akimoff or
I'm
whatever.
yeah, I'm looking at their Puckpedia right now. They do have Nick Robertson. I wonder if something gets done there, but they still have
Robertson
like
for
even if they
Michael. The trade is 1-for-1.
they even do that, like they still got just a little under $5 million to work with. I could see them signing, I don't know, Jack Rossovic or something, or
Apparently they're linked to him too.
yeah,
So
like they're not right up against it. Like they still have a little bit of wiggle room and could make another move.
yeah, and they're gonna benefit from every team thinking they're gonna win the cup, and 10 of them fall off the fucking cliff and are gonna need to trade guys. So Leafs are in a really good spot. I think it's gonna be the first time in like 6 years they're not gonna be up against the cap come opening day. So that's a good surprise, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go from the post Marner era. It's now officially the Matthews era. So,
Yeah,
or
no longer the
Matthews
core
Nylander
core
era, however you
four.
want to look at it. And they got 4 cracks at this. You have up until when Austin Matthews' contract's up, and then you're going to have some big decisions to make because he could just leave. He could leave at 30, and that's all you have. All you'll have is Nylander. A lot of fuckers on defense that are old. So you better
Yeah,
make this window count. Better make it count.
yeah, they basically have 3 years because that's how many years left are on Matthews' contract.
Because he just had the first year of the deal, and he wasted it on a core injury. Good stuff.
And they still might. I don't know. There's got to be a team out there that takes a David Camp 2 more years at $2.4 million.
I bet you $5 the Blackhawks are on his no trade list.
Yeah,
You just
and
have to
like
think, right?
I think they have another move in them potentially. I feel
I'm a
like
Leafs fan. I fucking hope so.
yeah, like I think this is a summer where we just might see like weird sporadic trades. Like we might see a trade in like mid-August, like a block, like a big trade or whatever. Um, any closing thoughts on the Leafs? Because I would like to move on to the next team, who is also in Canada, but in the West, another team that lost to the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I would like to go on to the Edmonton Oilers now.
The Iceman coming to save the day.
I like Ike. Let's go.
Ike Howe
Yeah,
gets so excited. Um, yeah, so the Oilers coming off the just shellacking in the Cup final. Let's just be honest.
it's crazy. It even went to 6 games. To be honest, like there could
Genuinely.
have been a
Oh my
sweep.
god, they could have got swept. Like genuinely, they could have got swept. But it's a
Doesn't
year
matter
where
now.
they
They
got they
lost.
got the guys they needed to resign to resign. They got Bouchard locked up for 4 years. That was always the contract that concerned me. You had to bring him back just for what he does in the playoffs for you, and they did. So that's very good on their part. Um, I they traded Arvidsson. They traded who else did they trade? They
Vander
traded another
Kane
Vander Kane.
got a
Yep.
fourth round pick
Got rid
for
of some
Ezra.
crucial salary. Brought back Trent Frederick for 8 years. Sure. You're
Whatever.
gonna get a full year of
What the
Wallman.
hell? Sure.
What the hell? Sure, honestly. And then you got Mangiapane. I like that deal a lot. It's a
I really like
flyer,
that.
brings
Yeah.
brings a lot of speed to that top nine. And then the big one, you trade Sam O'Reilly for Ike Howe, 1-for-1. Good old Isaac Howard, Mister Diva in Tampa. Gonna wear number 53 for the
Diva.
Oilers, like Jeff Skinner. But
Not a demon on my team, a diva on my team. The Iceman.
but I think it was funny. We talked about it like 2 days ago about the Oilers forward core, and I was just like, this is like the 20. It's just like what they used to do with Tapes and Kane in the back half of those contracts because they couldn't afford anything. So you had to pray to God Isaac Howard or Vasily Podkolzin takes a step. Like
Or Matthew
Matt
Savoy.
Savoy has to take a step. Like, and they have talent. Like there's talent to take steps, but fuck, man, it's a lot to bank on 21-year-olds. I've seen the Hawks try to bank on 19-year-olds and it didn't work, and 23-year-olds and it didn't work. Like,
What?
granted, they have the 2 best players in the fucking world to
That
compensate for
helps.
that. Still don't have a goalie. Still don't have a
That's the
goalie.
big
Running
one.
it back with the same 2 bums. I don't care
No,
what
but they
Stuart
fired their
Skinner's
goalie
games 4
coach, and
through
that's going to
6
change
are.
everything.
Oh my fucking god! Like, just John Gibson went for a second and a fucking fourth, and you sat there on your fucking hands. Like, you
You know
guys
what
are
it is?
so terrible.
They don't have the
What?
fucking cap space to do it. Like, they could have done that. They just don't have the cap space.
I'm literally giving up a 2026 first to get rid of Skinner and take on Gibson. I don't give two fucks. Like, the moves were there to be made, and you chose to sit on your hands in the one position that you desperately needed to readjust. Like, I think you could have lived with running with the kids in the forward court. That's fine. I understand that. You have to bank on one of these guys hitting. Like, it could be the 2017 Hawks for them, where it's like Schmaltz and Mott and all these guys started coming in and, were legitimate line players for that team. Yeah, they weren't fucking 80-point players, but half point a game, like, that's the
It
kind of
helped
shit you
out.
need.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all you
God,
really
they
need.
don't have a goalie. They don't have a goalie. And you could pull up tweets from 2020 saying the same shit.
Dude, you could listen to our podcast in 2020. We said that the Blackhawks could beat the Oilers simply because we have Corey Crawford and they don't.
Oh my god, it's the same story every time. Like, we talk about the definition of insanity. How the fuck are you not, like, if you're Connor McDavid, you just sit there probably in your cottage at your heated driveway and you're just like, fuck, man, I'm not winning a cup with this goaltending duo. And yeah, he's bought into Edmonton. He's probably gonna be an Oiler for life, for being honest.
Oh,
But
he's signing an 8-year contract. Like, I think the most realistic, like, reasonable thing would be I'm signing 4 years, just like, or no,
I'd sign
I would be
two.
signing 3 years. I'm lining it up with Bouchard. You have 3 years to get me a good team around me, and if not, I'm walking.
I'm
But
walking
he's
with
probably going to
both
sign
of
eight
them.
years.
Yeah, and you're strapping your rocket to a team with no goalie still and no sign of a goalie to come. They drafted Emil Vinny. That guy's at least 4 years from playing at legitimate NHL
Bro,
games. You will be 32 by the time that guy can be a goalie for you. At least Alex Ovechkin had Braden Holtby. At least Sidney Crosby had Marc-Andre Fleury. At least the Blackhawks had
and
Corey
Murray.
Crawford. Jonathan Quick. Like, Sergei Bobrovsky, even, for God's sake. Like, you gotta have a fucking goalie to win a cup. And yeah, the occasional Matt Murray happens. Yeah, the occasional Aiden Hill happens. Yeah, the occasional anti fucking Niemi happens. Maybe they find their Tim Thomas. Who fucking knows? But I can tell you one thing. I look at their goalie core today, and I still think they don't have a chance. Doesn't matter what moves you do on the rest of the roster.
Dude, they could would
Connor
not
McDavid
surprise me if they
for
get
200 fucking points, and I will still say the same thing. Sorry.
Dude, I was gonna say they could do all that. They could be. I would not be surprised if they're back in the Cup final, but it's the final boss. Like, you can't beat the Florida Panthers if you don't have good goaltending, average goaltending. Dude, they got to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final 2024 because Stuart Skinner was a 900. You literally need like a 905, 910, and you probably win the cup. It's that simple. Like, it's staring you right in front of the face, that fix. And like, maybe the John Gibson thing wouldn't have worked, but I just look at what Colorado did, getting Mackenzie Blackwood and who else did they get? I can't fucking remember. But they like Wedgwood. They completely rebuilt their goaltending in Washington as well. They got rid of Darcy Kemper, but you got Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren in there. It's like, I don't know exactly what goalie you're gonna get, but here's what I do know: Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard are not cutting it. Like, maybe you keep one of them just as a 1B or your backup, but you can't run it back with both. That's what we do know, but you don't have the cap space right now. Puckpedia, they have $225,000 to work with. I don't know, like, you just can't run Skinner and Pickard back again. We've seen it hasn't worked. Just, I don't even know what you do. Like, go out there and hope you find an Aiden Hill or whatever. It's not Skinner and Pickard. We know that. Everyone knows that.
According to Stan Bowman, it is, though, and that's all that matters.
Yep.
Jesus. So stupid.
And the thing is, like, I like everything they've done. Like, I like that they're, taking a chance and, like, bringing in an Isaac Howard. And I don't know much about Sam O'Reilly. Like, I don't know if his potential is as good as Isaac. I just see it as you're fast forwarding a player 2 years, basically. Like, Isaac Howard was a 2022 late first round pick. Sam O'Reilly was a late 2024. Like you're essentially fast forwarding that, and like again, even if you get a 2020 season out of Isaac Howard or a Matthew Savoy, like that's good. And same with Mangiapane, but again, it's ultimately like rendered useless if you don't have a goalie.
It's just the sad reality of what this team's. You got the best player in the world, and I can't pick him to win a cup ever, just for that reason alone. It should have been like, and yeah, with the way the team was rolling this year, once Hyman got hurt, it was just impossible to think that they have a chance. But once again, if I had a nickel for every time a Canadian team was riding on Zach Hyman to be the straw that stirred the drink, I'd have two fucking nickels, which is crazy because it's been $50 million of talent that say that. But it's okay. It's okay. Connor McDavid can only do so much. And I understand that. Draisaitl can only do so much. But fuck, man. I'd be ripping my hair out if I was those two right now. Unfortunately.
They're not like I don't think it's not as if like oh they're gonna retire soon, but like they're not getting any younger. Drysdale's gonna be 30 in a couple months, I think. Like McDavid's gonna be 29 coming up. Like they're not like McDavid still hasn't signed. This is their like one last shot as of now to win a Stanley Cup because they don't have McDavid signed. You don't know that.
The longer he takes to sign that contract, the more Stan Bowman becomes more bald. It's gonna be really funny.
Bro, just skin just like starts ripping off and you just see it.
Starts mutating. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Fun in the sun is all I gotta say about that. Or in Edmonton. Which it's sunny there probably, right? It's not raining.
Oh, it's so warm here right now. But
yeah. It's a steamy one.
You got 225K. How are you going to make more cap space? Like, are
so
you
many ideas. Here's what you do: you give all that money to the refs and tell them to call everything on the Panthers. Just kidding. That is not nearly enough money. You're fucked. Well, who knows? Maybe if you move a Stuart Skinner and God, there's like no fixing that team. I'm so sorry. There really is.
That's all it is goaltending is the frustrating thing. Like they just bring anyone that's not Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard. Like you're feeling a lot better about things. But as of right now, nope.
Unfortunate.
Anyways, it really is like as much as like we're gonna be complaining about like the Hawks, like Kyle Davidson being so patient, like the Oilers were gift wrapped Draisaitl McDavid, and like they never really developed much of a team. Like you relied on overpaying free agency. Like you looked ass backwards into Zach Hyman, but like you overpaid Darnell Nurse. I don't know. Apparently they did ask him about his no movement clause or whatever he has. I don't believe it.
I find that very hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe don't give him the anchor contract. 2021 is just such an enigma of an offseason for defensemen. It's crazy. I think Cale Makar. Wow. Just some of these contracts that have been signed afterwards, it makes you just. You're Joe Sakic. You're like, how the fuck did I not get Makar on 8 years instead of 6? Yeah, which he's coming up on an extension too. He's going to get paid.
Agent? I'm going to look that up right now.
Darren Ferris, imagine.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Does it show agent? I bet this is great radio right now.
Oh, it's the best radio. Are you kidding me?
Oh, there we go. Paul Capizano.
I don't know.
He needs to be put on Mount Rushmore. And it's pretty, and it's essentially buyout proof as well. Like, I think you're like, it'll be like 8 something million against the book if you buy him out.
Like, what a nightmare. Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, at this rate, I would just retain $2 million on him and get rid of him, or even $3 million. Like, because you can get a goalie and like a bottom pairing defenseman for that. But anyways, we can keep rambling on about the Oilers. let's go on to the Carolina Hurricanes. Funny enough, another team that lost to the Florida Panthers. I'm starting to think the Florida Panthers might be good at this whole hockey thing.
Hmm. Interesting.
So I did bring this up earlier. Maybe my favorite, like best contract sign of the day was that 8-year extension for Logan Stanko, and I hate how good it is, $6 million per, and I think he can be a regular 30-30 guy for them.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this is a guy who's just scratching the surface. We've been high, or you've been extremely high on him, but I
I have
was there for the
loved
coming out
him.
party in 2021. I still have our draft reaction where I think both of us are just like, what? It's just sigh, it's just a sigh, and then it's either you or me. I think it was you. It just goes, Logan Stankoven was right there, man.
And then of course
And
he
then you're
went to
like, this guy's not
Dallas.
even on my prospect list. And this is back for the people listening. This is back when Pierce used to have a pretty deep
Oh,
prospect list in
I was on my
2021,
shit. Yeah, I had like
and
100
Nolan Allen
prospects,
was
and I did not
not
have
on
no
that
one on there.
fucking
Yeah.
list.
Hmm.
Jesus Christ! Oh man, what a time! What a time! What a time! Oh man, it wasn't a time. It was actually just the
I don't think
worst.
anything can get worse than that 2021 off season, just with everything, the on ice stuff and the off ice stuff. Yeah, that was kind of hell.
Oh, oh well.
So yeah,
Anyways,
whenever I'm complaining about now, I always think back to them like, well, we could be worse. It could be
now we're
worse.
just shitty on the ice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they re-signed Stankoven. I don't love the Keandre Miller deal, if I am being honest. Like Keandre Miller, I think will flourish in Carolina, but I think it's more so the Rangers like did pretty well for trading Keandre Miller because if I had to guess, I feel like they were just gonna dump him off for like a second round pick, and they got I think a conditional first, a second, and Scott Morrow, which is a huge one, getting an actual player back.
Yeah, and I also think they were afraid of Miller getting offer sheeted. I think that was a real
Mm-hmm.
possibility. That's why the 7.5 is such an interesting number because it's just over the next tier of
Threshold, yeah,
of offer sheets. And we noticed that a couple times actually. Um
Paterka too.
yep, just over that cut. But you're taking a bet on a 25-year-old that has all the raw tools and never really gotten a chance to be that guy, and he doesn't have to be the top shutdown defenseman. Jacob Slavin's got that role. He can really hone into his offensive upside. This guy's had 17 goals in a season. I look at Brady Shea when he went to Carolina; it helped him out
Yes,
immensely.
yes,
And the same thing could happen for Keandre Miller. Like that's a top four defenseman for your team going forward, and if it doesn't, Carolina can kind of take that risk. They have a lot of guys right now on that back end that need to prove themselves, and you got to prove a commodity in Miller until someone can get rid of that. It's not Darnell Nurse. You're not going to have a $9.5 million anchor on your team. It's only going to be seven
yeah.
and a half. And with the cap going up, that doesn't sound too bad from what everyone says, but I'll believe it when I see it. Like he's making 500K more than Gavrikov. Yeah, that doesn't look good, but also Gavrikov's like 5 years older. So do with that what you will.
Yeah, just their defense: Jacob Slavin, Sean Walker, Keandre Miller, Jalen Chatfield, and then your bottom pairing is Alexander Nikishin and Shane Gostisbehere. You can do a lot worse than that.
A lot worse.
And to me, like I look at their team, and it's a good team, but I think with like a lot of teams right now, they don't have a legitimate second line center, and I think that's going to be if like again, Blackhawks aren't good right now, but hey, they got that covered, and if we're going a couple years down the line and they got a surplus of centers, that could be where they make their big trade. Um, Nikolai Ehlers, Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov, Kokniemi, Blake, Martinuk, Stahl, Stankoven, Taylor Hall, Mark Jankowski, and Eric Robinson. Like it's just if you can bump down Jordan Stahl a bit, I think he's been on the decline. If you could bump down Kokniemi to the third line and just get a second line center in there, like it's obviously easier said than done, but I'm pretty sure they still got draft picks to play with, and they also have like a decent prospect pool.
Yeah,
first round
they don't have any
picks.
2026 picks. They have a lot of 2027 and 2028 picks.
Mm-hmm.
3 firsts in the next 4 years, I think, is the big thing. And then or 4 in the next 3 or something like that. I don't know. It might be after the Miller trade. It's evened
Yeah,
out, but
first next year, first 2027, and two first in 2028.
there you go. So 4 in the next 3 years, a lot of capital to play with. I think it's going to be fun because it's going to be the race of Montreal and Carolina to who can get the 2C fastest.
Yeah,
Because Carolina is a 2C away from being an extremely deep roster. Once again, do not know if that roster is good enough to be Florida's top 9 and top 4 right now.
that's
It's just a
really
reality.
the bar right now. Is
Until
Florida.
one of these guys on Florida falls off a cliff, I can't pick against them. Like until Marchand takes steep regression or something, it's just not going to happen. Or they're just the shit. The only 2 ways I see them losing as at this point. There's no way. There's no way. Seth Jones gets to be the fucking number 4 on this team for the next 5 years. It's such a joke. It's such a joke. And yeah, they're probably not going to be able to afford guys like Lusterranen and Mikkola, but who fucking knows? Maybe they will.
Oh
Like
no!
this is just it's an embarrassment of riches in Florida right now, and every other team's trying to play catch up, and it's impossible to catch up when every team wants to catch up because everyone thinks they have a chance. So I give credit to Carolina for going out and getting a Keandre Miller and signing a Nikolai Ehlers because yeah, it's not Brad Marchand and Seth Jones, that's for sure, but we will recreate them in like you're replacing Brett Burns with Keandre Miller. Pretty good, pretty good. You're
Yeah, I
replacing
like that.
Mikko Rantanen with Nick Ehlers, but you have Mikko Rantanen for like 10
And like
games. So,
Stankoven.
yeah, like they're making smart moves where they can. Tolsky's doing as much as he can with this roster right now, I feel like, and hopefully they can get a 2C to really round out the whole crew because I really don't want Jordan Stahl playing third line minutes for my team. Carolina.
And I
He's
don't
a
want
fantastic
Kotkaniemi playing
4C.
second line centers. Yeah.
Bingo.
Really all it is.
So
Again, it's like
how do you get Kotkaniemi to Pittsburgh and then take Raquel back? How do we make that
Welcome to
happen?
Carolina. That'd be crazy.
That'd be so ugly. Seeing Malkin in that ugly
You could
ass
do
fucking
like
red.
Kotkaniemi and Nadeau and like a defensive prospect for Malkin and a first. That could be
I don't
something
even
that
think it would cost
happens.
that much. I don't even think it would
Yeah.
cost that much. We've seen this
Well,
market
that's
when
what
it's a rental.
Dubas would want, but yeah.
Dude,
But Malkin
fuck. Oh
could be
yeah,
like, I want to go
To
there.
take Kakaniemi, yeah, I guess, but fuck, dude. Like Malkin on this team immediately makes him just Malkin Sveshnikov's your second line. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Oh my god.
With Jackson Blake. Here you go, kid.
Disgusting. Disgusting. And I'm extremely high on Jackson Blake. That guy's gonna he and Stankoven, money in the bank 50 plus points next year. Maybe 60 for one of them. Probably Stankoven. Because he's gonna get way more ice time and way more opportunity on the power play and whatnot. Just a deep roster all around.
Yeah, but again, just the goddamn Florida Panthers, man.
Demon
Yeah, I wonder
time
if they
over
got
there in
one
South
more.
Florida.
I wonder if they got one more moving them, kind of like the Leafs.
I don't know what their move would be. They don't really need anything. Maybe a third pairing defenseman, but like, oh my god, they're gonna make TJ Brody elite. Holy shit, I've seen the vision.
Crazy.
Actually, can Calvin DeHaan go there? Like, no bullshit.
Again?
Maybe he can go win a cup. It'd be fun. But
No, he's gonna sign in Florida.
they're painfully deep defensively. They're painfully deep at forward. Like, if they have to trade Evan Rodriguez, oh no, Mackie Samoskevich, welcome back to the top 9 where you were for half the year last year. Embarrassment.
It's really crazy. They won a cup. He scored like 15 goals, and he was. I think he maybe played a couple games, but he was not a factor. Like he was not a regular. That's crazy.
And it's because they built their team to where their top nine's on demon time, fourth line's got to roll. That's exactly how every team should be built. Top 9 should always just be deep as fuck, and your fourth line's a situational.
Dude, they had 3 first. It almost feels like the 2015 Blackhawks. Like you could like.
Yep.
In a way, your third line was Patrick Sharp, Antoine Vermette, Teuvo Teravainen, and then Florida it's Lusterranen and Lundell and Marchand.
Hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. Jesus Christ.
Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, yeah.
Oh my god. Just coughing baby versus coughing baby in Edmonton. Get so excited. But it's just the reality of talking about these teams. It's like, yeah, they make good moves, but oh my god. Like Florida's just
You're not
dominant.
Florida, pal. There's another team on the rise that's in their division, and this is kind of the last team I have. And we'll talk about. I have like Panthers keep the band together, but like, what else is there to say about the Panthers? So yeah, they keep everyone. Might not look great in a few years when Brad Marchand's being paid till 43, but who cares?
Maybe
Don't
Bill
have any
Zito can
first.
come
Who
in second
cares?
place for GM of the year again as a
But
reward.
if like, I don't know if they win. I don't know if they three-peat, but I could see them go 3-4, and that's a dynasty. So you do whatever you can to keep the band together.
They got the best shot at a three-peat I think any team has had in a long time. Way better shot than
It's
the
the most
Kings.
impressive
Better shot
three-peat
than the
in
Penguins.
sports.
The
Hmm.
Lightning are the closest. The Lightning literally went out and got Brandon Hagel and Corey Perry to try to run it back. Yeah, this is how you do it. This is how contenders are made. This is how aggressive GMing should be. And any team that's a contender watching this and their team sat on their fucking ass, I'd be extremely mad. I'd be extremely mad because you did nothing to better yourself and not get curb stomped by this team, frankly. Love what Carolina did. Are they beating Florida in a 7-game series? Fuck no. Is
No,
Edmonton beating them in a 7-game series? Probably not.
no.
Their best shot was 2 years ago. Is Dallas beating them? Fuck no. Is Vegas beating them? Fuck no. They can't even beat Edmonton.
Hmm.
Until Florida loses, I'm not picking against them. Period. End of discussion.
Montreal Canadiens. They made a couple. Obviously, they made Dobson, but a trade I don't get from the Blues end, but love for the Habs is them getting Zach Bolduc for Logan Mailloux.
Yeah. Tidy business by Kent Hughes this offseason. You know,
What
Logan.
Wheels masterclass.
Um, but you know, you assess a need, which was you needed another defenseman. You couldn't just bet on the aggregate like some teams are. They went out and got a proven commodity in Noah Dobson, and you didn't really pay much to get him. I don't think the 16th and 17th pick is going to do anything for Montreal at this point in the rebuild.
No,
Um, then Mayu becomes a odd man out, and you
expendable.
trade him
Yeah,
for a 21, 22 year old who just put up half point a game, almost 20
I
goals.
believe they win the
Um,
same class, Bolduc and Mayu. I think they're both 2021.
Yep, elite defensive game on Bolduc too. Guy who's gonna fit like a glove in that middle six, maybe next to Demidov on the wing. As both the wingers for I don't know Kirby Doc, Evgeny Malkin, anyone on that second line, but it puts him in a position to where you have Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson quarterbacking your two power plays. You have a ridiculous amount of youth to put in that lineup, and vets to accommodate it as well. I don't believe they went crazy in free agency. They kind of made the moves they
No.
needed to make through trade, which is the way teams should do it.
Yep.
And they put themselves in a really good position to fight for a playoff spot again next year. I'm not saying it's confirmed that they're making the playoffs. They were the last team in, and I think goaltending is still an extreme concern for this team. I don't care what the stats say. I'm not betting on Montembeau when it matters most. And same goes for Dobesh and whoever they fucking signed as their third goalie. Goaltending's always going to be a question mark, but they built a hell of a roster. And to look at this roster from 2022 to now, it's night and day. And it's a position that you hope the Hawks are in a couple years. It's a reality.
Yeah, I got another team where you're just looking for a second line center. Like they just seem fine everywhere else. Got their lines pulled up: Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky.
Gross.
Second line: Patrick Laine, Kirby Duck, Ivan Demidov. Like if I would love for Duck to be healthy, but I'm not banking on that. And then your third line is Bolduc, Newhook, Anderson. Like one of those guys has got to be like a second line center, or at least holding it until a Michael Hage gets there, and that could be by the end of the year. And yeah, Gallagher, Evans, Kapanen, and then your defense is Gooley, Dobson, Hudson, Struble. I would think Reinbacher will get a chance to play there, and then you got Mike Matheson and Carrier on your third pairing. Pretty good. Definitely give them a
Math and your
chance to
son.
fight for a playoff spot again.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Matheson's on your third pair. Like, that's a very good depth position to be in if you're the Montreal Canadiens. Uh, they might even trade Matheson. Like, they are in a
Yeah.
luxury point. But I think you got to wait to see what you have with this group. If anything, you don't have to rush Gooley into a top four role. Maybe he's already earned it, but I don't know. Take some of the pressure off Hudson for sure. He can kind of just focus on his game and just be an offensive dynamo. Like you want him to be the Eric Carlson of this defense. You don't need him to be, the Victor Hedman, for instance. Obviously, there's like a foot difference in height there, but that's not the point. It's a different role for each player on this defense. You have two extremely good offensive defensemen and 4 or 5 forwards that really know how to put the puck in the net, and then you got some wild cards like fucking Patrick Laine in that lineup. So,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a fun team to watch. Question marks across the board. Like if Laine and Doc can get you 50 games apiece, it's a win, in my opinion. If I had to put money on it, I think one of those two will be gone by Christmas, but that's just me betting. That's just me with my gambling addiction. Get excited.
Tidy piece of business for Ken Hughes and co. I don't understand that trade from St. Louis's end, but hey, another trade where it makes a team in our division. I don't know if that moves the needle, but yeah, I think they just want another right-hand defenseman. But I don't get why they traded. A Zach Bolduc who could have been a center, but hey, they signed P.S. Suter, and they have so many good wingers. But then they're looking to trade Kyra. I don't understand what St. Louis is doing, but whatever.
Trying to make the playoffs again. Winning anything, that I can't speak for, but
That's like those were the main 5 teams I felt like had notable off seasons. I don't know if there's any other teams that stood out to you or like any other trade
LA's
signings.
stupid. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, that's stupid. Right. Yeah,
I don't even need to go into detail on that, but
no.
Cody Ceci, Brian Dumoulin, like you're not fixing any problem there. Connor McDavid's like, oh, lunchtime in the first round now.
Ken Holland did more for the Oilers this offseason than Stan Bowman did.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's funny. Like you look at the Kings, it's like, oh, Vegas got Eichel and Marner. It's just it's such a bad situation to be in.
He ain't got Rasmus Anderson money. Cody Ceci it is champ.
Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin it is champ.
But hey, they kept Jordan Spence. Oh no.
But besides that, a lot of teams just kind of sat on their hands, middling moves, rotating deck chairs, as they say. That's really all I got to say about this offseason. It was a pretty quiet one, if we're being honest, when it was all said and done. Yeah, there's some crazy shit like Marner and Dobson and all that, but pretty run-of-the-mill offseason, if I'm being 100% honest. Definitely not 2021 crazy.
No, there were not a lot of long-term contracts signed, which I was kind of surprised about. Like,
I don't think it was there.
No, I think if Ivan Provorov getting 7 years at $8.5 million, like he's the big winner in all.
That's another one. Actually, I want to. Another team I don't know what they're doing. Columbus got their additions were Charlie Coyle, Miles Wood, and then extending Ivan Provorov.
Oh yeah, what the hell was that?
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You went from we're in Noah Dobson talk. Oh, we might go after Marner again to. Like, if I'm Adam Fantilli, I'm sitting here like, why? What are we doing? Like. Yeah, I'm good. Marchenko's good. Ken Johnson's good. Caden Lindstrom's going to go to college and get better, hopefully. It's a lot of guys. And not a lot of guys are going to move you over the needle. Like, why are we helping Colorado get out of the Miles Wood contract? Why?
Insane.
What does that do to benefit you?
And giving up a second and a third, I think, and Gavin Brindley? What?
I mean, Gavin Brindley's stock's kind of fallen off the last 2 years, but...
No, never mind then. Okay, he sucks then.
Fuck, man. Like, it doesn't help your situation. You just spent $15 million in cap space on, like...
Mid.
If we're doing, like, a baseball, your WAR rating or whatever, it's getting, like, 3 wins, maybe. And, yeah, you just missed the playoffs. Maybe that's what put you over the hump, but... Fuck, I'm not banking on Kirill Marchenko getting 75 fucking points again, that's for sure. I'm not banking on Zach Werenski being a point a game again. He might be, but I'm just not banking on that. He also needs an extension, by the way. So he's looking at that Provorov contract, and it's like 11 bitches.
Bro, he's already making 1.5 million. If we're talking about Werenski, he's already making $1 million more. Like he's still a couple years away. 3 years actually. So they
Oh,
don't
I
have to
thought
worry
it
about
was
it yet.
closer. My bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're good for now. But if I'm him, I'm just like, I'll wait my turn. I'm gonna get the bag to end my fucking NHL career. He's gonna be like 28, 29 when he gets that. Yeah. Actually, he's probably gonna be like 30. Now that I think about it, he's been in the league a bit. I remember when he fucking got his that puck to the face against Pittsburgh as a rookie.
Oh,
That's
Zach
how long he's been
Werenski,
in the
yeah, he'll be
league.
30 or he'll be 31 at the end of
Yeah,
his
sign him for the rest of
contract.
his career. The rest of his pro career, he's gonna sign the Gavrikov deal probably. Yeah, Columbus. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's the only other team I wanted to add.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else because, like, like there weren't any the market was just mid. Like there weren't any oh my outrageous signings. It
Everyone
was
got
just like
extended, man.
yeah, that's what it was.
There's not much you could do.
Which is why I never understood people being like, "Oh, the NHL is just going to do a complete 180, and everyone is going to go to the market and test their worth and take short-term contracts." And I think of Gavrikov, like that's one instance where I think a few years ago he took only a 2-3 year contract, and you're like, "Oh, that's a guy who's betting on the cap going up," and it worked out for him. But I just think it's more like a hockey thing, like where teams players just want to stick with teams, like they don't want to risk anything. Like hockey is
Comfort.
such a risk averse sport. Comfort, yeah, like teams don't want to risk it. Like they're risk averse. They want predictability, and that's what I've gathered. And like players might start taking short term contracts, and they will have to with the next CBA. Like it's going down to 7 years. Not that it makes like a huge difference, but yeah, I like if we're never gonna be a basketball where stars are constantly hitting the open market and taking 1 or 2 years. And if that is that's gonna be like 10, 15 years away. Like it's just so ingrained in hockey culture, what I was trying to say. To like stick it out, be the team guy and be on your team, which is why like I do think the Blackhawks bring it back to them. We'll get something done with Bedard and Nazar and hopefully all of them before like the Blackhawks in 2010 got Duncan Keith for 13 years. You got Marian Hossa for what was it, 12 years. Sign those illegal contracts. Sign them while they're legal.
We need to see more 8-year deals. Like credit to Carolina, they fucking locked up Miller and Stankoven into 8-year deals. Like you
Oh,
got to take advantage of these things. I think double retention is another one that's got to get taken advantage of in this next year. Um, Fuck, like Eric Carlson, you you can well, not double retain now, but like if you gets retained again, he's technically getting double retained. That's not going to be able to happen. Like you got to trade Eric Carlson now if you're. I mean, he's probably going to get traded before the season starts. I think Detroit's going to be all over that. But fuck, Ottawa should be all over it. That'd
interesting.
be such a great homecoming. Oh my
Oh,
god.
going back, I don't know if the bridge was burnt too, but that would be cool to
And
see
I think the
crossover
bridge is
like
burnt,
Ottawa.
but it is
Yeah,
new management. Fucking Melnick's
yeah.
gone.
It would be
Dorian's
a cool
gone.
story for him to go back and like, oh, the Senators are on the rise again, and I can win with this young core and go on
And
another
they
deep
need a
playoff
right
run.
hand shot, man. Nick Jensen ain't gonna cut it. Or they
Or
don't even
Jordan
have Nick
Spence.
Jensen. Yeah, Jordan Spence and Artem Zub. Yeah, they need him. Don't let him go to your rival. But like you said, the bridge is probably burnt. Bridge is definitely not burnt with Patrick Kane though. He's on a fucking media tour in Chicago right now, just talking about how much he loves the team. If I'm Detroit, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, what are we doing here? Tour our media, please. Thank you. Talk about Nick Lindstrom. But yeah, that's all I got for
Yeah,
that.
like again, like underwhelmed by the Blackhawks off season. Like just GMs are liars. These last couple of years, you see Kyle Davidson be like, "Oh, I want to make this team better. I want to trade the draft picks for current players," and none of that happened. But at the end of the day, like the whole plan has been sticking to this rebuild, and at least like we know what the Blackhawks are doing. They're gonna be shit again. They're probably gonna be in Gavin McKenna sweepstakes, and like at this point, maybe I just sound like a fucking loser, but I wouldn't mind another top 5 pick. But I think after this year, like if they're at 25 wins again after this year and there's like no steps, like Bedard hasn't taken the step, and like let's say Nazar like regresses, like I'm not trying to sound doomer, like but if no progress happens, then we have to really reconsider everything with Kyle Davidson, but I don't know. I'm optimistic. Like again, having your cake and eating it too. Like I think this team can marginally improve, but also Kyle Davidson can get another top 5 pick. That's what I think.
Hell yeah. That's the goal.
Shoot, we're
Fuck.
almost at. Sorry.
That's the goal. Fuck. Yeah. We're Avengers Endgame podcasting right now. Mission
Who is it?
Impossible,
It's
Dead Reckoning,
McKenna.
Final Reckoning.
It's McKenna. There's Veerhoff. They're not going to get Veerhoff, and there's is it
Rubric,
Belchitz?
and so the way I've seen it go is McKenna at 1, Veerhoff at 2,
Mm,
Ivar Stenberg at 3, Ryan
yes,
Rubric
Stenberg.
at
Yeah.
4, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's a toss up between like Preston and Belchitz and a lot of these guys. There's a lot of interesting forward prospects in this class, like Tynan Lawrence. They're going to be able to get another good forward for this team, regardless of where they're picking. Like I like guys like Tomas Shrenko and Elton Hermanson. Like there's gonna be a lot of guys, and we're a year out. Like fuck, there might be some guy that just goes on
Oh,
demon time and steals
range.
first overall from
Mm-hmm.
McKenna, but I just don't see that happening.
No.
Two through
Like,
whatever, yeah, probably, but McKenna's number 1. Like there's just not a doubt in my mind.
I love talking to prospect guys, and we'll have them on over there. But I really hope this is the last year that we have them on regularly. Like,
It won't be.
but yeah, I just
The
it's a long
silence.
road. It's a long road.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue. I think I, in general, in real life, am a very patient person. But as a fan, a fanatic, no, I want this team. I want to fast forward 5 years and see where we're at. But yeah, got any closing notes, or we can end this podcast up? We're damn near close to
Let's
three
wrap it up.
hours.
I want to
So
eat dinner. It's almost it's 9 o'clock. I need to eat dinner.
lunchtime. Yeah. Sorry for we had to do this podcast because we had a lot to talk about, but I think we touched on everything we needed to. So yeah, um, give us a 5-star rating on your preferred podcast platform, whatever you may be listening on. If you're watching our beautiful faces on YouTube, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any content. I'm going to be putting a lot of throwback clips from years past over the summer just to kind of for the sake of nostalgia. I already put one up of us going over the 2022 class. I can't believe it's been 3 years already. So yeah, that'll all be out. But for podcasts, that's we might do one here and there, but I just don't think a lot's gonna be happening over the summer. So we're just gonna take that time to relax and do other stuff in life. So yeah, for Pierce and Dylan, take it easy, y'all. We'll talk another time. Enjoy your summer.